Well, it's hard to believe it's already Friday here in Puerto Calero in Lanzarote. The Royal Cup is actually in the penultimate day. Platoon Aviation on top of the table by about 7 points. They're sailing really well, but a big change today. We're seeing over 20 knots, 25 knots at times. Going a completely different day. Big test for all the teams. We caught up with Juan Villa, the navigator on board the Platoon Aviation. So Juan, what's the weather looking like for today?
I think today it could be the windiest day of the event. It looks like roughly an average 20-22 knots from the northeast, so night trade winds, and it will be good conditions again, similar to what we saw on the last event in Marina Rubicon. So here it's been a little bit more different, so we had like medium air days and just a heavy air like that today, and it's been a great event.
Everybody strengthened their spinnakers a bit, have they?
Yeah, of course, especially us. We know what's breaking sails, and just making sure that there's no places on the boat where they could tear a little bit the sail, and then from there it goes to a big problem.
What was the problem? Was there just a definitive problem that you had?
Oh, just going along the boat and seeing what tears them on the hoist, and sometimes just a small hold. Obviously, when it's breezy, the spinnakers don't like to have holes on it.
You personally, do you prefer a breezy day? What's your favourite?
I think we'll have to be obviously adapt to every day, but yeah, breezy days I think are nice, and for me, it's I find them more fun on the boat when it's breezy than when it's pretty light.
What's the particular challenges of your job today then? What's special for today? Different?
The main thing is just to keep your tablet dry, which is a big thing. But apart from those jokes, is basically anticipate, just make sure that all the calls and all the information that I can give to the crew comes with enough time, because obviously with the breeze things go pretty quick.
Tell me about your coffee addiction. Who drinks most coffee in the platoon team?
I don't know. I think we'll have to make a contest and find out, but probably I'm one of the top contenders on that.
Do you limit yourself? Do you have a discrete limit every day, or do you just think, oh shit?
Yeah, no, I'll try to, after when we're out in the water, in the afternoon, don't drink anything.
So that's Juan Villa with the weather for the day and a few thoughts on how things will transpire. But we also caught up with Maria, who's our race officer, doing a fantastic job. So Maria, give us the good news.
We're going to have a very good wind.
What's the forecast for the day?
It's going to be as shifty as it was before, but stronger.
What kind of wind strength?
Raceable for sure. We are expecting 22, 24 knots and good conditions.
And how have you enjoyed Lanzarote?
I love Lanzarote. I really like. I think the course is very open. As we can see from the results, that we can have everything.
So that was Maria, our principal race officer, loves Lanzarote. Let's look back at the highlights from yesterday. It's the third day of racing here in Puerto Calero, Lanzarote. Beautiful sunny morning, a little bit more breeze on the dock this morning, and a good forecast. 2 good races yesterday. Let's go racing. Race number 5, the breeze is probably 30 knots on the start line. The breeze is slightly more to the right of what we've seen in previous days. Very even start. It's all about getting the bows in front early on. Good acceleration with Prevetsa getting clear early. So do Alkedo and Platoon Aviation have a good first upwind. Generally it's the left side that plays. Once again, it's about the ley line to protect our mark. Round the windward mark, it's the lead from Prevetsa. Second round are Alkedo, Platoon Aviation round in third, Sled around in fourth. Breeze is slightly more settled, but down the final run there's a big move out to the left by Platoon Aviation that gets them through into second place at the finish line. It's Prevetsa winning, Platoon gets second and Alkedo get third. Blue skies and sunshine for race number 6 start, about 15 knots on the start line, a very, very even start. In the middle of the line, Platoon Aviation along with Prevetsa. Prevetsa not so good off the line this time, but Sled very good time and distance and good speed. They start to open up early. Trinity lead round the top mark, having gone way out to the right with Sled in second and Allegra third round the top mark. But through the leeward gate, it's a Sled which take the lead with Trinity Racing on the opposite mark. So around the top mark, second time up, it's Sled with a comfortable lead which they extend. They have Trinity Racing just behind them, but Platoon Aviation in third. Platoon Aviation go out to the left halfway down the run, and that really works for them. They manage to get through Trinity Racing to get second behind Sled, who win their first race of the regatta. Trinity Racing then just lose out to Platoon Aviation for their third, but it's also super close between Criolla and Allegra. Criolla get fourth and Allegra fifth. So the standings after 6 races here in Puerto Calero: Platoon Aviation now on 19 points, second Preveza on 26, third Arvayu on 33 points.
Palm Beach Motor Yachts, we build for those who lead. This comes from our history in competitive ocean racing, where advanced technologies and a spirit to win shape our every advantage on the water. We carry those lessons into every motor yacht that we design and build, using efficient and balanced hulls to deliver performance that feels effortless. Paired with meticulous craftsmanship and engineering, it creates a quiet confidence you can sense the moment you take the helm. Palm Beach Motor Yachts, from ocean racing innovation to cruising perfection.
Well, like I said, a very good afternoon. Welcome to Puerto Calero. As I said in the intro, it's hard to believe it's Friday already. We're already at the penultimate day of racing, but it's a sad day for the sport of sailing, marking the passing of King Harold, who was actually one of the sailors who gifted the Royal Cup to the IMS class way back in 1995. He was one of 4 owners: King Harold, Willie Ilbrook, Pascal Landolfi, and Yanis Kostopoulos. So it's a sad day, but it's also a day to mark to kind of celebrate his life. He was a lifelong sailor, very successful in his own right. Raced in the raced in the original Med Cup from 2006-2007. I'm joined by Rob Wheeland. Rob, your memories of King Harold, what was he like?
Yeah, that was a modest man, but not shy, on the other hand, to leverage his royalty and his being a triple Olympian for the goods of the sport. So never for himself, but if he could help others and young people and anything that could motivate people to enjoy our sport, King Harold would be your man.
He was a very modest man. I mean, not unlike Juan Carlos at his time. He moved among us as one of us as a sailor.
Yes, it was Harold for the crew.
It was Harold for the crew. He loved, and a key point was he sailed with an amateur crew in the early days of the.
Yeah, I think that's why his life as a TP52 class member was relatively short. He was with us for 3 years, and he competed in the Med Cup mainly in 2006 and a few events in 2007. Because then already it was quite clear it was becoming dominated by professional crewed boats, and that certainly was not the way His Majesty was gonna play the game.
Absolutely, but as you say, he loved to be with his crew. He loved to have a beer and a little cigarette after racing.
Yeah, you could meet him. He could contrast to Juan Carlos, who couldn't move without half an army around him. He could sit at any terrace in Palma, and there would be 1 or 2 security in the background, but he would sit there with his crew, wave at you, invite you for a beer, and he had a much more calm life that way.
personal note, he was the very first person I ever met in a TP52 regatta. I went down for breakfast in my hotel, and King Harold was standing there getting his Cocoa Pops at the buffet, like everyone else was that morning. So I say a sad day, but also a great life, well lived, and a fantastic seaman and sailor. So thank you so much, Rob. We're going to join Katie then on the water. Katie, how are things looking on this penultimate day? We've got more breeze. We can see that straight away from our fantastic aerial shots. We're expecting a great day of racing, Katie.
Hello. Yes, we are indeed. It's a beautiful day out here. The breeze is a lot breezier than what we've seen the earlier parts of this week. We've got kind of 20 knots, slightly more at times, and a lot more sea state. It's a lot more rolly. We've got a bit of more ground swell sort of making its way down. But yeah, similar direction. So similar kind of race course, but we've just got the added factor of 20 knots of breeze. It's a little bit flatter than it was in Marina Rubicon when we were there last event. So hopefully the teams will be kind of nicely warmed up from that event for a bit more sea state. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of a different style of racing today, I reckon.
What was your briefing this morning? What was the weather briefing that you sat in on?
Yeah, so it was kind of as expected at the beginning of the week. It's a windier day. It's kind of we're seeing sort of 20-25 knots at points. After 4 o'clock it is dropping off slightly potentially, so it's not building to become kind of unsaleable at any point during the day, which I think is quite good in terms of getting races in if anything happens. But yeah, I think it's kind of a gradient breeze again. It should be pretty stable, and yeah, it's just going to be about managing the sea state and kind of managing the course in terms of the shifts off the shore and whether we're close enough in for that.
Indeed. Anyway, at the top of the table just now then, Platoon Aviation had a strong day yesterday, a pair of seconds for them, and so they've opened out a little bit of a lead, some of it gifted to them, if you like, by Provezza, who had that 10th in the second race yesterday. So the standings before we start race 7, well, Platoon Aviation, 3 times winner of the Royal Cup, 3 times world champions, making a charge at the top of the table with a 7-point lead now, 19 points versus 26. Vayu steady yesterday, I mean consistent, but they'd like to do better, but they still held on to third step on the podium. 35 points for Trinity Racing. They had some really good moments, just unlucky to lose out a couple of times, but 6 and a 3 yesterday is a pretty good average. And Sled coming away with a 6-point day is really good for them. We think they've kind of bottomed out. Certainly they changed or they debriefed their starting, and things certainly improved. Certainly that start yesterday in the second race was really impressive. So they're in 36 points, very much in touch in terms of the overall the podium for the regatta. So too the same case for Criolla. Allegre 42 had a pretty solid day, probably their best day of the season so far yesterday with a 4 and a 5. Alpha Plus in 8th, not too far away, 43 points, 46 for Paprec, 47 for Gladiator, 50 for No Way Back, and Alkedo. I mean, they had a little bit of a better day, unlucky in the second race, but a third certainly shows what the Italian team are capable of, and they certainly want to get out of the basement today. Robbie, your thoughts on this day? We're at a minute and a half to go, but it's a different kind of day, isn't it?
Yeah, good afternoon, Andy. And yeah, it is a bit of a different day. We've obviously got a little bit more breeze, like Katie touched on, but yeah, I think these teams will just want to sort of go through the motions of how they set up the boats in a bit more puff. Obviously we saw a little bit less breeze throughout the previous days in this event, so it's just a little bit about changing modes and potentially little changes in setups as well, Andy.
It is really about getting off the start. I mean, Katie, the starts have been so critical in this regatta for a number of different reasons. It seems to be a little bit harder to get back through the fleet, but generally the teams that have started well have done well. It sounds logical, but it's not always the case. But at the moment, Alkedo well forward on the fleet. Katie?
Yeah, I think, as you say, the teams that kind of have started well, it's more about being able to make your own decisions on this race course rather than being at a specific side or at a specific end of the start line. I think on today's course, we have got a little bit of tide pushing the pushing kind of from the pin end towards the committee boat. So I think that might open up the pin end a little bit more. So there should be a little bit more space at the pin end, which is I think why we're seeing so many of the boats kind of, we got half the fleet kind of above the committee boat at the moment. So I'd expect to see quite a few of the boats pinned out at the moment. But yeah, well back. And I think if Alkedo are able to kind of accelerate well with this bow forward, I think they'll do well. And
I think they're well bow forward at the moment.
Well. They look like they've got a good gap. Yeah, I think Paprec, for me, looking pretty solid at the moment.
That's a really tough spot, isn't it, Andy?
It is really for Alkedo. Alkedo were going forwards too early and ending up having to either go back, I'm not quite sure, but so too there's a couple of boats there at the windward end of the line. I think Prevetsa, is it, presumably?
Yep.
And also, actually, isn't that Platoon Aviation?
Platoon Aviation as well. Yeah, so they got held out.
In the end, a general recall, which is, I think, a blessed relief for the regatta leaders and the Prevetsa, and I think that was largely precipitated by Alkedo, Robbie, wasn't it? They were too far forward. It's and really they pulled the fleet forward, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you see a boat that's sort of advanced on the fleet, then you sort of second guess where you are in terms of the time in the line as well. So that just sort of drags the game forward, and everyone dragged up to a little bit too much. So they'll definitely be happy with that general recall being on board Alkedo Setala.
I don't know what there is to learn off that start line, Katie, from that start. Anything significant you saw? I mean, again, it's interesting to see that Prevetsa and indeed Platoon Aviation trying to start on the boat end of the line. Katie.
I think there's quite a lot to learn from that. You can obviously the majority of the fleet wants to be up towards that boat end, but it does mean that if you are, there is a lot of opportunity down towards that pin end if you want to start maybe potentially a lower risk start. It also kind of shows me the way that all of these all the teams are attacking the day is kind of like it's breezier, and they've not paring it back at all. They're not like chilling out. They're like, right, no, okay, we need to hit the ground running. We need to come out all guns blazing here. And I think, as you can see, all of the majority of the boats are kind of continuing on to do a little bit of a tuning run off this line, even though there's a general recall. And I think that's you see that quite often. I mean, in the pre-start, in all of everyone's pre-start routines, they do normally do lineups with other boats, but it's quite hard to replicate having to line up off a start line where you are in really tight lanes, and it's quite hard to really replicate that. So actually being able to use this general recall as a kind of final check-in to just check that they've got the modes that they want and they've got the boat set up correctly, I think that's why we're seeing all of the teams carrying on for a bit longer than you kind of would expect for a general recall. But yeah, I would expect potentially on this next start maybe a little bit more spread down the line, the teams kind of maybe clocking on to that the tide that's kind of pushing them up. There was no gaps at that boat end, and I think it was pretty obvious that no one was wanting to be second or third row at that end. So I would expect the next one there to be a little bit more of a spread all the way down the line.
Indeed, but at the moment we're waiting for the restart. Things a little bit heated on board Platoon Aviation. I wonder whether they've got a problem. Not sure, but certainly they're trying to settle down. But in the meantime, it seems, Robbie, that nobody seems to want to start right on the pin. Crayola once again, same as they did yesterday, starting at the most left-hand boat. Yes, indeed, the toolkit coming on board Platoon Aviation. Let's just wait and see. So that certainly the general recall is a welcome opportunity for Platoon Aviation. Let's see how that plays out. I certainly saw them bringing a winch head on board early this morning, but these technical teams and the boat builders and so on can deal with any eventuality in a matter of minutes. Usually, Robbie, it's like the pit crew in F1, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. They're getting in there, and these guys like these sorts of things. If there's a problem, they're really solution based and they really want to fix it. So they absolutely just get in there. The rib drivers take them over. Hopefully it's just a quick deal, a quick fix, and there's a bit like a pit crew with them just in and out, and making sure that these sailors can perform the best with their boat.
So, Katie, yes, a better day yesterday for Sled. The said they seemed to sort of think they had a particular problem with starting. But I think probably illustrating what Vasco was saying yesterday, that you really have to start well so that you can make your own decisions. And I wonder whether that was maybe the Sled team ended up having their decisions made for them because they weren't starting as well. But yesterday a 5-1 is a signal of where they want to be, Katie, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think if you're not starting well in this fleet, because the standard is so high, it's really hard to get those places back. I think if you're starting badly at the wrong end of the line, I think that's very, kind of way worse than if you're starting well and giving away a little bit of the bias end or a little bit of the favoured kind of side of the line. And I think the start is super critical to be. If you can start well and get yourself at least kind of in the mix at that windward mark, it's for a team like Sled that we know are super powerful and they've got really good speed and they're pretty good at keeping clean, generally speaking, although we did see them, they have had like a couple of penalties, I think at least one penalty this week. I think if they can get themselves starting well and up in the mix to be able to kind of attack at the windward mark, then I think that is that's kind of a safer strategy, and I think that's what they've kind of started to we saw them doing more yesterday. They were definitely putting themselves more in positions to be able to attack from the front rather than playing catch up off those starts.
Or going out more to a more extreme side, as it were. Anyway, just confirming that Platoon Aviation asked the race committee for 5 minutes just to affect or deal with their problem, and we're expecting a warning signal at 13:20, so a little bit of time to play with. But let's look then at the circuit standings for the moment. Things changed significantly since we got here. Platoon Aviation actually taking over the lead by virtue of countback. In fact, and that works that they're the team which are leading this regatta. It's always who's won the last regatta, and then the most regattas or placings in the regatta. So Platoon Aviation taking over the top of the fleet for the first time since Puerto Calero, which was won by Sled. Sled have led all the way through the season, and so that's a little bit of an emotional blow for the Sled team, but they're fighting, and it's going to be a fascinating couple of days. Alkedo Setelar moving back to third because Paprec have had a little bit of a tough regatta so far, but not as bad as Alkedo. But however, it's super close now for third, fourth, fifth, sixth. All the way down. So Alkedo, then the Italian team, at 195 points. Trinity Racing climbing the circuit standings to 203, along with Paprec, who have been our follower since Marina Rubicon. They really need to start popping some good results in. Alpha Plus moving up, Preveza also moving up, but they're all tied together. They're 214, 215, 215 for Alpha Plus, Preveza, and no way back. Then a little bit of a gap back to Criolla and Vayu, Allegri and Gladiator. So Robbie, it's everything to play for, really. It's a great battle already between Platoon Aviation and Sled. It was kind of strange in a way, ironic almost, when we had, certainly in the very end of the regatta, Marina Rubicon, Harm was saying, well, 17 points is nothing, we can bring that back in 3 days. 3 days of good sailing, and they've done it in 2 days.
Yeah, absolutely, Andy. They've come down to the business end of this regatta, and then also heading into the business end of the season as well. So amazing to see Platoon sort of make up that many points, in such little time. And we talked about the bin sailing
away by Sled, isn't
very
it?
well.
Sled, in the first half of the regatta had 21, almost 30 points over the first 4 races. So that has been to Platoon Aviation's advantage, and good to see that they have their problem solved.
Yeah, it's almost been a swing, hasn't it? Preveza, Platoon, sailing very, very well, and then equally Sled not having their best regatta. So it's been a big swing, and then hence the tied on points in the season. But for me, Andy, after yesterday, Sled doing a really, really good job. I think they're going to pick up a bit of momentum. Obviously won the last race yesterday, so just watch out for them in these conditions, and we'll see how it sort of plays out.
Indeed, off of our fleet here at the moment, and it's Platoon Aviation or Platoon who have won the Royal Cup most often. They've won it 3 times, in 2021 in Menorca, in 2023 also in Menorca, and then Valencia in 2024. I think that was the end of the 2024 season, if I remember rightly. Looks like the breeze is picking up all the time, Katie, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for a second there, I was actually just thinking, oh, it feels like it's dropped off a little bit. But then I think I'm just sat on the floor of a rib, so that's probably why. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's supposed to build until around 4. I don't think it's meant to get much more than what we have now, so sort of 20, maybe 25 knots at points. But I was talking to some of the guys on the Gladiator chase. They were kind of telling me what the wind speed was on the way out, and they'd seen as low as 16 at points, but they were more consistently 20 to 25. So I think there is still actually some holes out here, and I mean, when I just said there was less breeze, it does at the moment feel like it is a little bit softer. But I think further up the course, you can kind of see on the shots there on the live stream that there is kind of bands of pressure, and it is pretty fruity out here, but there is still the holes, which means the transitions between those modes are going to be equally as important in this windy stuff as they are in the lighter stuff. But that might be more geared towards handling the gusts, potentially, if the gusts are quite big, compared to managing the lulls, because you're still going to be fully powered up in the lulls. 16 knots is still fully powered in these boats, so you're still able to push, as opposed to kind of yesterday when they were getting, and the day before when they were getting a lot lighter lulls. They're no longer fully powered. They have to really find that power. It's kind of the opposite today. They've got the power in the lulls, but in the gusts, they're going to be overpowered and wanting to be spilling power, so they need to make sure that they can manage those gusts, and they're going to have eyes out the boat the whole time, kind of looking at the pressure that's coming. It's relatively easy to see today. You can kind of see, as I said on the live stream, you can see as well, it's obviously a lot easier if you're that high up, which no one is. It would be nice.
Phil Clappers.
But, yeah, you can see it on the water. You can see... Yeah, Phil Clappers, exactly. If he's not calling breeze, then that is a missed trick. There's a missed opportunity.
It's funny.
But yeah, it's easy. It's pretty easy to see. Indeed,
and then the other end of the scale, with all due respect, you've got Colle Parada and Victor Diaz de Leon. It's a fantastic range of sizes and strength and abilities, and it's great to see everybody operating at 100% all the time. And this is going to be an exciting day. I can feel the adrenaline just lifting as the gusts come down off the hills there in the background. But interesting. There's a few teams that really have to perform a little bit better. No Way Back, just in our shot there. They've been a little bit up and down, and generally Robbie tended to fade a little bit as the races go on.
Yeah, I think that Terry and the No Way Back team would have, wanted to sort of start the races a little bit better. I think just in terms of how they've been going, I think they've been sailing well, but it's just sort of that first initial jump that we sort of mentioned about that first bottom third of the start line, and really trying to break free, because we have seen them break free and then they have turned it into a good result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, on board with Trinity Racing, just interesting that Ed is on the helm. I think just he's looking round, and Jake Lilly there, I think, gives him a kind of, he's not a strategist, but he's got a great eyes for the breeze, obviously, and a former Finn sailor of very, very high level. And Andy Axelson there on the pumps are just setting up, but they like to keep things simple, don't they? Just try and sail clean and find their own lanes, Robbie.
Yeah, they do. I think that's been definitely what they've been doing in this season so far. And I actually caught up with Johan Bahn there, the navigator on board, Swedish navigator, and I sort of asked him how the vibe is with the team. Obviously, they're a new team to this circuit, so he was just sort of mentioning that they just get a little bit more comfortable race after race, and I guess it sounds cliche, but the more comfortable they are, and especially the more comfortable Joachim is on the helm, then they can sort of turn that into sort of taking the opportunities a bit more instead of playing the conservative game.
That's right. It's all about the boat-on-boat stuff, the close action through the round of marks and so on, and off the start line. And we've seen time and again that Ed Baird likes to pick a spot either close to the boat, occasionally down the pin end, but more often than not, they start at the boat end of the line. Back on board then with the Paprec. Just seeing Loic Perron there is back on board. He had his back problem a couple of days ago, had missed the last race. However,
I think that body cam's a bit of a fan favourite, isn't it, Andy?
it's a bit of a fan favourite unless you're emptying the bilges off the back of the boat, as it were. So let's cut that and go to an aerial shot with the Alpha Plus. Alpha Plus have kind of blown a little bit hot and cold in this regatta, haven't they? They've had some good ones, won one race, but it's kind of the old story of being inconsistent. 11th in the first race, first in the second race, and then they've struggled again to get into the top third of the fleet. But massive talent on board, great sailors.
Yeah, really great team, and another team that's really sort of bought in and brought together. We obviously know that the Kangs, team leaders, and they have a nice vibe about them on the dock as well, don't they? Quite a team, family sort of vibe, and
it's a very
really
family
cool
vibe,
to see.
but at the same time, you've got some fantastic sailors on board. Ado Stead has won with multiple different teams. Won the World Championship with RAN Racing. Won the World Championship with Quantum. Won the circuit with Quantum. Sailed with Phoenix before, but I think his longest period he was with RAN Racing, and won the Worlds in Miami with them. But he's got great experience and is a very, very safe pair of hands, doesn't get overexcited. Anyway then, just teams starting to look at the start line once again. Any particular changes, Katie, or are we all thinking to start in the same place, do you think?
I wouldn't say there's many changes. As I said, it feels like the breeze has potentially dropped a little bit, but I don't think that would change much. It's still very much powered up sailing. There's still a relatively big sea state, but a little bit kind of. I think the teams will have a bit of a time kind of finding modes in the sea state. It's kind of that awkward. There's a bit of ground swell, but there's like a bit of chop as well. So it's going to be like quite ploddy is the wrong word, but you know what I mean when it's like slapping through the waves. So that's going to be a really tricky one to steer through. I think it's going to be really cool. I think watching the downwinds. I always love watching the downwinds when there's big waves, especially with boats like Paprec, who are just the kind of offshore big breeze, big wave masters in the downwinds when there's waves. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, with respect to the start, I don't see anything massively changing other than the fact that obviously that last start was incredibly incredibly packed up at that boat end. So I would wonder if they'll try and spread out a little bit more and just give themselves a little bit more breathing space.
Indeed, they're on board with Alpha Plus, talking about Phil Clapp. He's featuring in our latest docu-series or episode that we're making at the moment, which will be broadcast. I think we have 80 different broadcasters around the world taking our 26-minute programs. First one is on our YouTube channel at the moment. So 2.5 minutes to go on board with that Alpha Plus, just settling to find their position. I mean, and you've also got Craig Monk there on the pumps. He's no slouch, Robbie, is he?
No, another great New Zealander as well. So always shout out to Craig and the Kiwis on board. But yeah, no, there's a lot of experience. I mean, whether it's on the pumps or whether we're talking about the guys who are calling the shots and doing the tactics. So imagine, I mean, all esteemed sailors, and the performance that they get out of these boats is incredible.
You know, this is my, until now have been my slow burn team, staying under the radar. I had a long briefing this morning. Anyway, and they really need to maintain their consistency. A minute and a half to go. We're really set up on the line quite early for everybody, aren't we?
Yeah, that's right. And just before that, I saw everyone, doing lots of jibes and sort of tacks to sort of find their position. It wasn't a very processional one out to this, right-hand side of the start box, but a bit unconventional. But it looks like all the teams are lined up pretty well now. A minute
and 10, a minute 20 seconds to go. We're setting up early. It's all going to be about time and distance to the line, and what a fascinating start, Katie. Who's up at the...
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's
Go on, Katie.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the boats are all lined up super, super early. We don't often see the whole fleet lined up like this really early, and it's really interesting to watch kind of how they manage their slow boat manoeuvres, whether they're happy with their gaps. I mean, it's completely at this point the same as dinghy sailing, where you're kind of trying to create as big a gap as possible. You're trying to slow the boat down. You're trying to kind of gain height where you can from the boat below. But yeah, everyone creeping forward towards the line now. To me, everyone's looking quite early again. I'd be, especially kind of the likes of Paprec, this pin end looking pretty congested now. It looks like there's a bit of a gap in the middle of the line. But yeah, I think it's looking going to be, I reckon there's going to be a couple of boats over here.
Yeah, 10 seconds to go. It's all on Paprec, isn't it?
Very close, aren't they?
Yeah, it's going to be too difficult. There's no space to get the bow down. They're just going to have to take them, suck it up. Also, just to weather, is that who's that? Just to whether they look to be over and going back or coming down the line. Vayu it is, and on the pin end, actually, Trinity Racing getting away quite nicely. Paprec are going to have to go back. Criolla, isn't that just a windward who are about two boats?
I think that's Provezza there, Andy.
Alkedo over the line, and Paprec are over the line. And that was, it's one of these things, Katie. Unfortunately, it's a lot of that is down to experience of the drivers and the helmsmen, the ability to sail slow. I mean, present company Paprec, the exception there, but and ironically, actually, Trinity Racing, who have made the best start towards the pin end of the line, no way back. Case in point, also just very slow in tacking over, and actually Harm and the Platoon Aviation team seem to come away from that quite nicely. Sled going well, tacking off onto port early. We've got pace.
Yeah, they had a really nice lane, didn't they, off that start line?
Well, and they do now. They're holding that lane. Seem to be wanting to get out to the right this time, Katie, perhaps. Sled going that way and no way back, and also Platoon Aviation.
Yeah, I think that right-hand side is looking favoured. I think for me, the left-hand side potentially might have a little bit less sea state, but evidently it's probably not different enough to make that difference. I think really, really nice start from Trinity, as you said. I was kind of, as I was watching their start, they looked like they bore down quite early, and I thought that they had maybe were having to bail because they were underlaying, they weren't quite laying the mark, or they thought they were a bit early, but they did a really nice job of kind of realising that they were potentially a bit too close to the line, or realising they weren't where they wanted to be, went bow down early to kind of give themselves space to then run up, and they just really timed that perfectly, and I think they've absolutely nailed that start. But yeah, the whole fleet now pretty much, apart from Alkedo, I think, who started over the line, whole fleet now on port, heading out towards that right-hand side of the racecourse.
Indeed, and bow number 3 there, the black hull of Trinity Racing settling down on port, our early leader, along with Provezza.
In a nice position as well to tack into, Andy. I think they got most of their competitors just to lure to them, so now you can sort of just look under the boom, see everyone there, and then you just focus on boat speed and really try to get the most out of these waves and try to really work it. You can see a nice shot there. They've just got all the fleet sort of locked away, don't they?
They do, and they have the option if they need to just sail a little bit faster, but it's certainly quite choppy, and as Katie said, some groundswell underneath the chop. It's not easy for the helmsman, and again, this is a sea state and a breeze that experience and the good helmsman, the best helmsman, will profit today, Katie, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's so much about like feel in this stuff, and also kind of finesse. It feels like a weird thing to say, because it's kind of like a day where it feels like finesse is almost out the window when it's this windy, because you just imagine it just being like really brute forcing it through, but actually finesse over the waves and kind of almost as little input as you can, and really just trying to let the boat sail itself, and really trying to make sure that everything's working together. So you've got the jib, the main, you've got the steering, like all of those things are all working in unison, just to really let the boat breathe and let the boat kind of do what it needs to get over this sea state.
Indeed, I recall Marina Rubicon sitting in the quantum briefing, and for much the same kind of conditions with this swell chop and kind of fairly strong breeze, and that was exactly what James Line was saying. But here we have a port and starboard with Platoon Aviation and Sled, and it's going to be pretty close. But Sled tack into the lee bow and force Platoon Aviation off.
They don't mind getting close to each other, these two teams, do they? I mean, we keep talking about their little...
They don't mind, but as long as Platoon's on top, if you're in Platoon and Sled's on top, but it's Sled are looking good at the moment. But I think probably Sled not too unhappy with their position just now. The breeze does seem to be up and down, Katie. There seem to be some quite noticeable holes or streaks, as it were, and maybe Platoon just going awkwardly across the waves there, Robbie.
Yeah, it looks like they are. I mean, there's such difference between starboard and port on how you sort of want to play the waves. Katie touched on sort of the finesse in driving over them, but I think there's a lot of difference between which board you're on and which mode you really want to sail. So it seems like the guys who are sailing on starboard look quite famous because they're sort of not having to punch into those waves, but then equally they need to get back onto that port tack, right?
They're going across them much more, which means that the bow's falling off as they come across the wave, and it's a kind of fishtailing across the waves. Anyway, for the moment, it's Platoon Aviation look good there. A little bit of a lefty perhaps for them, but Crayola going well according to our tracker.
Yeah, looks like they're nicely out on this left-hand side, and looks like they're on starboard as well, and they've really wound up. So I'm not sure if they're in a huge righty wherever they are, but yeah, going really well. Both them and Alkedo really out to that far left-hand side. So keep an eye on them, although we do have our front runners sort of in the middle of the pack here.
We do indeed. Katie, what's your thoughts? It's a nip and tuck at the moment between the Platoon Aviation and Sled. Platoon coming back quite nicely on the starboard tack, quite high, quite fast for me in that image.
Yeah, there's a lot of tacking going on. There's a lot of I think clearly it shows that it's not compared to potentially in Rubicon where it was like really kind of top end conditions.
Yeah.
This is very much still raceable. It's not really survival. The teams aren't afraid to be putting tacks in. If it was really on the edge, they'd maybe be thinking about minimizing maneuvers, but Sled and Platoon really not kind of affected by that. At the moment, Platoon's angle looks quite high coming back, but I mean, looking at the tracking and kind of just looking across the water, it is kind of always changing. Crayola out on this left-hand side, which is where I am, they seem to be kind of getting a little bit of a lefty, which would be really strong for them when they tack back over, if that holds. So yeah, I mean, it looks like there's kind of plenty going on, and it's very different depending on which part of the course you're in. So I think it's just going to be about whatever pack you're in, whatever part of the course you're in, you need to be winning that, winning those battles, winning that pack, so that you're then kind of up in the mix at the windward mark.
And for me, Platoon Aviation winning the battle on the right side for the moment against Sled. Really sailed nicely the last few minutes, Robbie, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Really, not surprised, but amazing to see that they were so close to Sled. Sled doing a lee bow before that, and then they head just a little bit further out to that right-hand side and pick up a lot. So really indicating to me that it's really shifty, and you just get sort of a vein, and you just sort of ride it out, right?
I think Platoon had a little bit of a righty, and just we could see as Sled were going across those waves, they just weren't getting enough power, and just losing out just a metre or two on Platoon Aviation. And now Platoon Aviation now have a boat between them and Sled. Trinity Racing going nicely from their start. No Way Back going well. But Pravetsa, unfortunately, down deep in the fleet, really, for the moment.
Yeah, they are. They were sort of just stuck at that pin with not much room to work with, weren't they? So, yeah, they didn't have the nicest start, and they're sort of having to take sterns and on the knocked board. So, but yeah, they're sort of in that pack. I'm just looking at the 2D there. You can just see the boats on the right really starting to wind up, Andy.
It's starting to wind up, and it's certainly a little bit of a righty in that breeze. I'm not sure whether it's going to play out as well as Crayola hoped. Certainly they were looking famous about 3 or 4 minutes ago. Now going back on a bit of a knock, I think. Now whether they stay or go back to the left, we shall wait and see. Likewise, Alkedo, Cameron Appleton and the afterguard on Alkedo trying to work this left side for the moment.
Yeah,
certainly
definitely.
out, and they seem to be nicely pressured.
certainly out this left-hand side, and it certainly looks like they've got a bit of pressure. So we'll see how they sort of come back. I mean, they're trying to pick it up, aren't they? Really trying to find that mojo and really find their form in this event.
But it's certainly not easy. All these little things to deal with, the sea state and the puffy breeze.
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes, haven't there?
Indeed. Anyway, just watching how things play out. No Way Back have done well from their position, Katie, haven't they? They've stayed out right after that start.
Yeah, I think No Way Back have done a really good job of kind of getting to the edge of the group, which means that they've just got a little bit more options, a little bit more able to make their own decisions. What I think has been really interesting watching actually is you kind of you can see the characteristics of the different tacticians on some
Absolutely,
of the different boats that you look at.
yeah.
I'm comparing Trinity and Criolla, for example. They actually quite often have very similar starting kind of tactics. They kind of
all be on the other side of the course from each other.
And they. Yeah, exactly, and see Criolla, I mean, one of their kind of MO quite a lot of the time is starting off the pin and carrying out to the corner and kind of keeping to really to the edge of the course, whereas Trinity, they kind of also like sometimes being kind of on the edges of the line, but they always kind of quite often make their way back to the middle of the course and kind of are kind of more confident and more keen to be kind of putting more tacks in and playing all of the smaller shifts. So it's just super interesting for me, like the different strategies that they have on the upwinds is really cool.
And Vasco's strategy, I mean, he's always on the move, isn't he? But he's got a great feel. I say between him and Jordi, they have a great chemistry, and the chemistry's improved, I think, in the second half of this season, as Vasco was saying in that great interview yesterday. I think they really feel in tune with the breeze, and as much as anything, Vasco's never happier than having Terry to leeward and in his hip pocket.
No, they've been sailing amazingly, haven't they? I mean, we saw them in the last event in Rubicon, and maybe they had a few issues, but they're always up there, always sailing really, really smart. And we mentioned it, another team that's been around for a long time, and they really know each other, like you mentioned, Andy. So they've been sailing really well.
They did. It's a bit of a dream team afterguard. And it was interesting yesterday to hear Vasco paying great tributes to his fabulous navigator, Juan Villa. So there we are on board. You can just see Vasco watching all the time for the breeze and every little change with Jordi on his shoulder. And Harm, it's all about filtering out some of the noise and keeping on the numbers. And we've said many times before that all the sailors who sail, all the top pro sailors, America's Cup winners, Ocean Race winners, always compliment Harm as one of the best helmsmen in the fleet, bar none. He's a lifetime of racing.
Yeah, it's great to see an owner, helming the boat, but also putting so much time and effort into doing these seasons and carrying on with his team. So, yeah, full credit to Harm to be able to steer and have all these guys around him to have the information, but like you said, potentially block a little bit out and just focus on what he needs to do to make the team better as well.
Indeed. So, Katie, what's Platoon Aviation looking strong and in a dominant position out to the right of No Way Back and Sled. Value in fifth, further to leeward. Trinity and Gladiator having a hitch out to the right. I mean, Trinity have gone from early leaders to 10th, Katie. That's the measure of this fleet and this shifty breeze.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, I was literally just kind of thinking about that, and I was looking at the group that is kind of in sort of 10th, 11th, 12th, and 9th as well, like Criolla, Gladiator and Trinity. They all started at that pin end, and they were all the furthest left boats up to start. But we saw that everyone tacked onto port pretty much straight away, and it seems like the boats that were just being throttled by my by my button here. The boats that were able to tack onto that the winning shift earliest seem to be the ones that are kind of coming out in front now, and I think that's kind of reflective of the kind of day it is. You need to be tuning into these shifts quickly. It is really shifty out here, and you need to be kind of the first ones to be able to make that right decision, and then everyone else follows you, because if you're not getting in phase straight away, then you're going to end up losing out.
Correspondingly, look at Prevetsa. I mean, it's only a few minutes ago they were we were berating them or reflecting how they had dropped all the way back to 11th at one point, and they're now up to 5th. Although they don't have a great position in that group. You know, they're to leeward of that group. It's all a lot will depend on what the group to their right, what happens with them.
Yeah, and those guys just on the left of them, just to windward, they'll be coming in with a bit more pace if they're a little bit overstood that spreader mark as well, right?
Principally looking at Value against Alpha Plus at the moment, but Value have a reasonable lane out there. Alpha Plus just tacking underneath them. Old rivals, but it's great. It's interesting to watch. Manu Weiler is just talking to the helmsman all the time, just saying what's going on. Again, another tactician who works alone, as it were. He certainly doesn't work with a strategist, same as Ed Baird, and that certainly works for Manu at the moment.
Yeah, and you see Palm Green there, the mainsail trimmer working really hard. Obviously, they had Alpha Plus just tacked to leeward of them, and you could just feel that the core was, sticking into a high mode here, and you see him just bring the Traveller up, put a bit more main sheet tension on, and really try sticking in that high mode. It looks like they've done a good job at that as well.
It does a little bit, but Platoon Aviation still holding on. Presume you're at the weather mark, Katie, and waiting for the first boats. Less of a prevalence for boats coming in on the on port to the protector mark, isn't there? We can see Platoon Aviation there, only no way back coming up as far to windward at the protector mark.
Yeah, it looks like, just looking at the tracking and the angles, it looked like where they tacked, they kind of were closer to the ley line, but it looks like they've got a little bit of a righty. It looks like they've got a bit of a header coming back here, which does then open the door for that pack on the starboard ley line early, a little bit to get a bit closer to them. But I think, yeah, Platoon really nicely positioned themselves. I think it's going to be pretty close with Platoon. No way back is going to be relatively close behind them, I think, but I think it'll be interesting to see what they all do on the downwinds if they have had a bit of a right shift, and also if it is shifting that much, whether the shifts are worth taking on the downwinds as well, or whether because it's breezier they want to be keeping it simple and they want to be minimising manoeuvres. So I think this is going to be quite an interesting downwind to see how that plays out.
It is absolutely, but it's bow number 2, Platoon Aviation, 3 times winner of the Royal Cup, coming round the windward mark with the lead. But it's it's not only shifty, the breeze is up and down all the time, and you really want to come in with wind pressure. Not sure that Trinity are going to get profit from their position just now, but anyway, there we go. Platoon Aviation round first, no way back round in second. Actually, Pravetsa get round in third, which is a great recovery from them. Really using the shifts well. Criolla in that mix.
Yeah, I just want to say, Andy, a seriously different upwind to what we've been seeing these past few days. It wasn't the left that really came out.
And looking like a penalty there for Allegri.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, they did so many tacks, didn't they? All this whole fleet up this upwind, and then now they're getting a bit of a lefty. So Gladiator's struggling to make that top mark as well. You mentioned Allegro with the penalty. Really, really close for these boats. I mean, it's shifting all the time.
It is indeed, but Gladiator getting away with that one. They had rights. I think Alkedo Setelar coming round as well.
You look at Alpha Plus there as well, Andy.
Value just coming round behind. Alpha Plus, as you said, just behind, I think, having to take a penalty as well, potentially. But and Gladiator main ragging there a little bit, just trying to keep the bow up as they get through.
Yeah, amazing comeback for, you mentioned Pravetsa. Amazing comeback from them, wasn't it? I mean, just
Indeed.
to sort of pick their way back.
And Sled losing out a little bit on that final approach, weren't they? They were up in third or fourth. So
Yeah.
credit to Pravetsa and Criolla both getting round in third and fourth there. But a big advantage to Platoon Aviation is if you come round that windward mark and get a puff and just gives you a great jump. We heard that the other day from the guys on Sled when they won their race, that it came round in a puff and suddenly you're pulling out an extra 20-30 metres. But it's over 250 metres just now for Platoon Aviation, and really dictating terms to the fleet for the moment. Pravetsa jibing off as No Way Back just keep following, Robbie.
Yeah, I wonder, I mean, obviously we saw the sort of the boats, majority of the boats go to that right-hand side and profit. So it's interesting to see Preveza wanting that early jibe just to sort of get out to that same side. It'd be interesting to have a look just at the boat speeds as well. I think Preveza just have a little bit more pressure out there.
I think they did. I think that the same thing is true as we've seen, even though there's more pressure and a slightly different wind direction. I think you want to be working the high right, looking upwind is where the gusts are coming from. So in general, working towards that to get the gusts earlier, and that's what Preveza have done in the short term. No Way Back, I think, have carried on, haven't they, Robbie?
Yeah, they have. No, they're heading out there, and they also have Criolla as well. You sort of see the GPS sort of putting them up in the fleet as well. So potentially a little game for them continuing. Obviously not doing any jibes, so not losing anything out of that. You see them just sort of carrying on and really trying to sail the boat in these waves.
Indeed, but I think it was kind of jury's out for Preveza, where they were, seemed to be a little bit slowed, but just coming into the stronger breeze coming into them. So considering they were third at the top mark, losing out a little bit over that side, but it may be an investment for the future, as it were, Katie.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the breeze is quite up and down over here. I mean, there's quite a lot of the boats similar to yesterday's downwinds. Actually, we're seeing quite a few jibes down the middle of the course. It feels to me kind of like a bit of a day of the middle of the course is a little bit safer. You don't want to be going all the way to the edges. You want to be playing the middle a bit. And it looks like the downwind strategy is kind of the same as the upwinds in terms of kind of driving back to the middle where you can, really linking together those pressures. I think that's going to be super important. The difference between the lulls and the gusts is quite big, and I think linking those pressures together is going to be really important for this down.
But for sure, the speeds have ratcheted up compared to what we've seen so far. Stronger breeze, more exciting racing, and Platoon Aviation profiting for the moment. And No Way Back giving chase, pushing putting the pressure on the German team. And going really nicely there, Robbie, aren't they? No Way Back.
Yeah, beautiful conditions for these boats, and it looks like No Way Back's absolutely flying, and they definitely look like they have caught up a little bit to Preveza, so potentially an early gain for them. And with Platoon being in the front runner, we saw them do the downwind attack in the previous yesterday. They won't need to do that same sort of attack, but I'm sure they're still trying to grow that lead, Andy.
They are trying to grow the lead, and you can just see, really, credit to them. Look how the strand of breeze was right behind them. Just Vasco and Jordi just picking the channel of breeze that's working for them best. They're running downwind with it. You can just see it. Inside, then Preveza actually have probably gained a little bit on that early jibe.
I'd agree.
Coming back, but nevertheless on board with the big powerful grinders doing their work. Vasco just telling everyone to settle down. A little bit of acceleration, nearly went out the back of the boat, Vasco, but
he's grabbing himself a water as well while he does it.
Yeah, it's not unusual for Vasco. And then Jordi there at the very, very back of the boat. Victor Marino there, the runner trimmer, and the other grinders there at the back of the boat.
It's just flying through the water, isn't it? I mean, running with the swell, it looks amazing for these boats, and it must be it must be awesome to be on board just flying. I mean, they look like they've, got caught up a little bit potentially from Preveza, but man, it'd be fun to be out on the water right now, Andy.
It would indeed, but especially on Platoon Aviation. But for all that, it's Preveza who are second just now, and chasing Platoon Aviation on the overall standings. 8 points behind at the moment. Sled moving up to third on 40 points. So things moving in the right direction for Sled, for the world champions, winners of the first 2 regattas of the season. 3 regattas in a row, finished or won the final regatta of 2025 in Puerto Calero. But it's great to see Preveza doing better, and they have the mojo back.
I'm just starting to see, Andy, the fleet sort of spreading out a wee bit as well. We sort of see the distance in between 5th and 6th is a lot, and then equally the distance between those boats after 6th isn't actually a lot. So just sort of coming into 2 groups, aren't we?
We are indeed watching now as Platoon come across their three chasing protagonists just behind them, coming across on port, the others coming down on starboard. Platoon Aviation going beautifully, Katie. What's their plan from there? What's their strategy?
Well, that is a great question. I think, do you know what? I don't actually know. I think it's super shifty. I think I would probably be thinking about making my drop as simple as possible. So if I'm on the lay to do a left turn, I'd maybe be thinking about doing a left turn. They've got a bit of breathing room to be able to kind of like pick whichever gate they want. But I think I'd be making it simple for my manoeuvres on the drops, but these guys are obviously professionals, so they don't need to be doing that. And then I think it would just be kind of like loose covering upwind for me on the around the marks. You choose your mark, wherever your closest competitors go, you then just kind of loose cover them.
I think for the moment for Platoon Aviation, it's sailing with the breeze they've got, watching, as you say, the next gust, using that, and I think at the moment sailing their own race. And the other point, Katie, that you made, I think 100% is keeping it simple, going for the early drop, especially when you blew up 5 or 6 kites in the last regatta. Juan Villa confirming they've strengthened their spinnaker armoury, and but nevertheless they don't need to push too hard. But that's 345 metres is even in this breeze, you could call that comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they definitely want to sort of shut down that race. What they have going for them, as well, is that the 3 boats behind them, they're sort of all on the same lay line, so you can almost expect that they'll take this left turn, which is what we're seeing Platoon do now. So if you have that in the back of your mind, you know where the competitors are most likely to go, then you can just take that one. Obviously, they have to choose first. They take that one, and then they'll be in front of the other boat. So you're always just sort of looking at where the competitors are if you want to shut down the race and really try and make a decision on that as well.
Indeed, I know they are quite comfortably going around that right-hand mark, looking upwind. And as you say, Robbie, the key thing, or one of the extra good things for them, is the 3 boats behind will be engaged going up the beat. There's the option for one to break away from the other 2, whatever, but they'll be having their own little battle for second, third and fourth as we watch that. And then Pravetsa go for the late jibe into the left-hand mark, looking upwind. Not the best of jibes. Correspondingly, no way back, going for the earlier drop, going for the right-hand turn. Pravetsa going for the left-hand turn. And in the middle, Sled just setting up to come right round on the stern of No Way Back.
Yeah, fair enough for Pravetsa to sort of choose that other gate mark. They would have been really, really tight with No Way Back if they went with them, wouldn't they?
They would indeed. They've come round quite neatly. I think probably No Way Back just got a little bit more pressure on that right side and sailing into the earlier pressure. Criolla just coming down, have lost a little bit for the meantime.
Yeah, I think it's tough also if you do take that left-hand turn like we saw Platoon, No Way Back and Sled take. You are actually turning in right into the swell, so it is a longer turn and it does really slow the boat down. Fortunately for Pravetsa, when they did that late jibe, they were jibing in with the swell, so it just gave them a little bit of relief, and then equally when they turn up and do a right-hand turn, it just sort of helps them as well. So something to think about as well for these teams.
Indeed, Pravetsa taking second, or holding second for the moment, No Way Back, and so split for them. Sled in a fairly solid fourth for the meantime. The course has been shortened slightly. The wind, so the windward mark is 1.9 miles. It was 2.1 miles at the start. Breeze started at 020 and it's now at 015. So breeze has moved right a little bit since the start of the race, and corresponding a little bit cloudier, Katie, by the looks of things.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit more cloud cover coming over now, especially kind of over the land. It's pretty dense, yeah, and a pretty dense cloud cover. Yeah, less and less blue sky. It's looking like, in terms of the breeze, I think potentially that right-hand side, Platoon looks like they've got a little bit more speed on the likes of Pravetsa and Criolla out on this left-hand side. So I think Platoon, kind of opting for the side that they potentially thought had more pressure, easier manoeuvre at the bottom. And as kind of expected, I think it looks like they're just now loose covering the fleet and trying to just make the decisions based on what wind they've got. I think for them now, I think the loose cover is a good defensive move, but I don't think they're going to be losing sight of attacking on their own shifts as well, because we saw in the first upwind the pressure is different side to side, so whatever the boats on the further left are doing, they might be in different breeze, so it's not always necessarily sensible to go for like the full cover on the rest of the fleet. I think for Platoon, they've got a big enough gap that if they are able to kind of almost act as if there's no one else on the course and just kind of take the shifts when they come and tack on them and figure out their quickest way to the windward mark, I think that is probably what they're thinking right now.
Indeed. In the meantime, Preveza giving chase a little bit further to windward. And it's great to see both Preveza and Platoon Aviation doing well in this race, in this regatta. Teams which have struggled at different times. Certainly Platoon Aviation, I think, coming into their best form. Always seem to be the second half of the regatta, the second half of the season always seems to be their strongest. They always seem to be able to close down points. And we saw that in the 23 season, wasn't it, when they came from behind, overtook Gladiator in Valencia to win the title along with Preveza. Anyway, looking at the standings just now, if positions stayed the same through the finish line, then it would be Platoon Aviation leading on 28 points for Preveza, 39 points for Sled. Crayola would move up to 41 and Value dropping from 3rd to 5th on 43. But a couple of little recoveries there we're just seeing interesting, considering Paprec had to come all the way back. They're up to 7th. Gladiator also going a little bit better. Katie up to 6th, considering they had not the best of starts. And correspondingly, or in contrast, Value and Alpha Plus in particular. Trinity dropping down to 9th at the moment. But a better day for Gladiator so far, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think they did a really nice job at that windward mark of they were in a lot of congestion, and when they went round they had boats above them, and I think they made the decision to jibe, to jibe and then hoist. It wasn't the best hoist. It looked like their kite had a bit of a wrap in it, so it was a bit of an hourglass for a while, so they were a bit slow. But I think just freeing themselves, it allowed them to kind of make the jump on the rest of the boats on the other side of the course on that downwind. And I think it looks like their decision making today is kind of, I mean, I don't want to tempt fate, but yeah, it looks like they're kind of, their decision making is more, it's happening earlier, and it's looking kind of more confident. And then Paprec, I mean, I'm not surprised honestly that they've kind of managed to claw their way back in these conditions. This is their kind of, I'd say their best conditions for me. I think they're super strong in these conditions, especially on the downwinds. So I'm really not surprised that they're managing to chip away and claw their way through, and I wouldn't be surprised if they managed to chip away some more.
Interesting, just looking there in the tracker, the left working a little bit for Sled, seem to have got themselves up to 2nd for the meantime, but at the same time on the right there seemed to be a little bit of a righty, so maybe temporary. Robbie, what's your thoughts?
No, I was just thinking about Preveza and where they came from. They obviously made that initial gain. They went round the gate at the same time as No Way Back, and they made that initial gain out the left. And then equally, Sled have now gone out to that left-hand side, and it looks like they've made a little gain. So potentially we're seeing, just the little advantages going the way of the left-hand boats, but also we saw, quite big.
It's also all about the approach to the windward mark, because it seems to be a different breeze. You very often get the right-hander. We saw right-hander the first time up, but there was less pressure on the left coming in, but very often, seemed to be a little bit of a knock. So in the meantime, it's Sled who have profited, but whether they'll be able to hold that all the way up to the windward mark will be fascinating. But and in actual fact, probably Platoon Aviation have just lost a little bit of their lead, Katie.
Yeah, I think it looks like they got caught out on that right-hand side a bit far. I mean, it's all going to completely kind of change again a bit more on the top of this beat. I'll be interested to see whether if they get the cross on Sled, whether they then kind of shift into a more defensive kind of tacking on them. We might see them kind of going super aggressive defensive and tacking on top of Sled and Criolla and kind of forcing them into a bad lane. But yeah, it looks like they had a super substantial lead at the bottom. They did a really nice job on that downwind. They're still comfortably in the lead, but I mean, positions change all the time up here. You can lose. We saw yesterday, I think was it Provetsa? I think they had a really large lead, and then all of a sudden it was gone in the top third of this beat, and it looks like that's kind of what we're seeing. And Sled seem to be on a bit of a rampage at the moment, so we'll see whether they kind of keep charging and can manage to charge through Platoon.
Indeed, at the moment, Platoon probably looking to be a little more defensive, as you said, Katie, and come across and just keep between them, between Sled and the windward mark. But also, let's keep an eye out on No Way Back out on that right side. We've seen a righty, a lift coming into the top mark, so all to play for. There's not very much in it at the moment.
I was just having a look at the speeds there, Andy. Sorry, Katie, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think as we've seen that left-hand side being strong as well, I think it's also worth watching Gladiator and Trinity out on this left-hand side compared to Professor and No Way Back on the right. If Platoon have kind of lost that much of their lead on Sled by having the split, we've kind of got the same split a little bit further down the fleet as well, so it's just worth keeping half an eye on how they come back together at the top as well.
Yeah. Sorry, go on, Robbie.
No, I was just going to mention the speeds there. It just looked like No Way Back and Provetsa had a little bit more. They were just sort of tickling that 10 knot mark, so just a little bit more than the boats out on the left-hand side. So just potentially a little bit of difference in wind strength as well.
I think so. We'll see how that plays out. But for the moment, Platoon, I think being a little bit more defensive vis-a-vis Sled behind them and to leeward. Criolla still strong on the left. But we're keeping our eyes on No Way Back and Provetsa on the right, on board with Criolla.
They've been sailing really well. I mean, they sort of just got in touch with this sort of top group just on that downwind, didn't they? And now they're just really hanging in there.
They did, very much doing their own thing. Gladiator hanging in there nicely, but there's a big gap really between Provetsa and Gladiator in terms of distance. But that was what Katie was saying earlier on. So coming up to the second windward mark, we're in race 7 here at the Royal Cup in Puerto Calero in Lanzarote. We've got the probably the strongest average wind speed we've had so far this week. Expect to get up a little bit more, maybe for another couple of knots for the next race. But certainly some of the most exciting racing we've had here in Puerto Calero is a relatively slow burn start. We're starting off in probably 10 to 12 knots, 13, and now we're certainly above 20, 21, 22 knots. It's probably a mean wind speed at the moment. So some great racing, Robbie.
No, that seemed to be forecast as well. So yeah, it seems to be right on cue, and nice to sort of have a variety of conditions, isn't it, for all these teams, just to see how they fare in different conditions.
That's right. Just watching then No Way Back versus Sled, I think, is the interesting one. I think Platoon or Aviation should get round this top mark comfortably. Provetsa in that mix. Just watching then as Colle Parada keeping an eye on the No Way Back to their right. How's the breeze looking at the top mark, Katie?
Let me just stand up and have a look, Andy. Oh, it's pretty
breezy.
Pretty fruity out there, to be fair. Not quite as tall as Phil, so can't see quite as far. But yeah, it looks like there's a bit more pressure coming down that should kind of be hitting the boats just as they're getting towards this windward mark. There's a bit, where I am at the moment, it's a little bit lighter, but I can definitely see a bit of a gust line kind of just above the windward mark that I think is going to come down and get into the boats. Will get that for when they round the windward. Will be interesting to see whether it's a shift as well or if it's just pressure, because that could dictate kind of the type of rounding that they all do.
There'll be everything going well on board the Platoon Aviation, the regatta leaders. Katie, a few words about the ambience here. You know, I think this is a venue that a lot of the sailors know really well, and also all the containers are side by side. There's no hiding place, and there's a great opportunity for all the sailors to integrate and to chat. And I think it's an interesting point, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's actually kind of like a perfect venue in a lot of ways. Like the containers are all super close to the yachts, so everyone is in a super condensed area, and you have to walk down past all the containers to get to various different things, and it's really cool. I mean, I spend quite a lot of time down in the containers in the mornings, and everyone's just not only in their own teams, but in amongst teams as well. Everyone's just kind of chatting amongst each other, like talking about the day, talking about the sailing, but also just kind of talking about life, because a lot of these the guys spend so much of the year with each other in various programs. They might not be on the same team here, but in other circuits, like the Maxis, for example, they may be on the same team there. So there's a lot of there's a lot of camaraderie. There's a lot of it's a really good vibe. I mean, everyone's kind of almost like, everyone knows everyone, and it's a super nice environment to be around.
Absolutely. I think that there's no room to sulk, is there? Everybody pulls or everybody lifts everybody up. The great banter.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's literally no space between the containers either. So even if you wanted to try and sulk, you couldn't fit. Maybe some of the smaller guys, but it's unlikely. But yeah, it's just if a team's had a hard day, or if someone's having a hard day, you can really see kind of people trying to lift them up, and they kind of
exactly.
They're not like avoiding the topics. They're kind of talking about it. They're like, and sometimes you kind of just got to joke about it. You got to, if you don't laugh, you'll cry situation. So there's a lot of banter as well. There's a lot of kind of like
mutual respect, isn't there, beyond everything?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's a really fun environment to be around.
Everybody's, I mean, I hate to say it, but everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's doing the same job in the same, circuit, and everybody knows each other really well. And if this is, from that point of view, it's a great venue. And Platoon Aviation.
Yeah, for sure.
There's some sulkers on board the Platoon Aviation, and there's no chance of that at the moment. This is well deserved, and particularly as they had such a tough regatta in Marina Rubicon. And we're coming around the top mark with a really comfortable lead in the end. Sled probably more engaged just now, Robbie, in keeping boats behind them, I think, than charging to catch up with Platoon Aviation. Fair comment.
Yeah, they did well to sort of get back up into the fleet, so to get back up into second, and they sort of played that top third of the beat really, really nicely, obviously sort of shutting down their race with no way back, and then equally the two boats who are pretty close to them as well. So nice job just to get up to second, and then they'll really be on the defence, because I think Platoon are really trying to run away with it. So I think if you're Sled, you just want to sort of bank it, make sure it turns into a second on the scorecard.
Especially when you've got two super strong boats behind in the shape of No Way Back and Prevetsa, and indeed Criolla. They're really, they're having a great match behind. So I think Sled are a little bit more, need to be on the defensive coming down this final run, Katie.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as you say, Platoon's kind of got a big enough lead that they're relatively comfortable, but Platoon need to be kind of watching their back. They've got, No Way Back and Prevetsa and Criolla all kind of very much within touching distance. One bad manoeuvre, one kind of wrong move, and I think they could very easily lose 2, 3, 4 places and turn this second into a fifth, which I think would really hurt them for not only the overall, but also not only this regatta, but also the overall. They really, really need to keep as close to Platoon as possible.
Anyway, that's a good lead, Robbie, isn't it?
No, it is, absolutely. And just having a look at that drone shot, I mean, the distance in between fifth, Criolla, and sixth is just amazing, isn't it?
Isn't it? But it's all, I mean, it reflects the way this race is playing out, isn't it? You have these groups, but Gladiator comfortably clear of that group in their own right. Meantime, that little battle between Alkedo, Setelar, Paprec, Allegre, and Trinity, that's a pretty Pretty tough, tight little cluster of boats there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. They're really, really compact. I mean, the difference between being so spread out and sort of having your group, and then how tight that group is as well. And you sort of almost see the starboard tackers as well, Alpha Plus, Vayu, really trying to get back into this race. It looks like they're very close with the pack also.
Indeed, there's battles going on all the way through the fleet. But that's 40 odd seconds that Platoon Aviation are ahead.
It'll be interesting to see what the time of Gladiator when they go around the top mark, the time in between Criolla and them.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in a very long time, especially in this fleet.
It's fine. On board with Allegra then for the moment. Andy Soriano doing a great job, just trying to keep the nose up, keep the high mode under a little bit of a squeeze from the Swedish team, bow number 3, Trinity Racing.
And then equally, Allegre got Alkedo Cettilar right behind them, so you just see them now just down to leeward. So, yeah, very, very tight. I mean,
just threading their way through the
exactly
the fleet coming round the top mark. In 8th, they'll be fighting as hard as ever, trying to get Alkedo on this final run.
Looks quite fruity at that top mark as well, doesn't it, Andy?
It does look quite breezy. John Kostecki there, the tactician. Andy Hemmings, the trimmer there, setting up.
They definitely, had better results and were sailing better yesterday, weren't they? So
yeah, but the margins are so small, and it's just a few meters here and there. One little missing one tack or missing one position, one cross can suddenly you can go from 4th to 10th or whatever. But Platoon Aviation going nicely down this final run. They have Provezza there to starboard of them and quite a long way back, and there's this battle's going to go to the finish line, isn't it, between No Way Back and Provezza and Sled?
yeah, absolutely it will. And also Criolla just trying to hunt down as well. It's not obviously good to be behind boats, but then if you have a lot of distance between yourself and the boat behind you, then you can just really go for an all-out attack. So I think that's what Criolla will be doing. These boats will certainly be trading jibes and really trying to get an upper hand as they come down, but it would be very, very tight for sure.
Anyway, Gladiator, kind of a little bit of kind of splendid isolation for them, under pressure from nobody behind Katie, but they've got a little bit of a jump to get forward to Criolla. However, I think they'd be happy with the 6, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think for sure. At the moment, I think it's just about building confidence for them, and I think it's about kind of really understanding their, as I said, with kind of like a bit of a newer team for this season, a newer afterguard. It's really trying to figure out how they all work together and how to get the most out of the boat and how to get the most out of each other. And I think it's really important for them to get kind of, to keep chipping away and keep building that confidence and keep learning from these races. It is kind of mad looking at the course. It's like there's 2 different races going on. We saw the windward mark with the front 5, and then it was like basically a whole other race with the fleet behind them. It was super interesting to watch. I was kind of like looking behind me like, oh, what's happening here? But yeah, just looking at the front group, Platoon very much looking like they're pretty comfortable. It's almost like dominoes, one of those group jibes, and then the rest of them kind of all follow suit. I think they're just trying to really stay in phase with the breeze, stay in phase with the pressure, link the pressures together. But it's really trying to make the gains where they can. And I think if someone has a bad jibe, for example, there's a lot of pressure on the jibes, because a bad jibe, I think, could really give away the meters that there's no meters to give away. Looks like Criolla and Provezza are having a real little battle, actually, which I think is going to be very much one to keep an eye on towards the finish. I think there's going to be some kind of trying to outmaneuver each other. But yeah, I think, plenty of battles there. And then we can have a short 30-second break, and then we can go back for the second heat.
I think it's about a minute and a half, actually, Katie.
A chance to draw breath after the...
I was being generous.
Yeah, fair enough.
A chance to draw breath after Provezza, but at the moment Provezza have got a little bit of work to do to get back into the top 3, top 4. Crayola have done well coming down this run, but it's super close really, all in all, between No Way Back, Crayola, Preveza. Meantime, Platoon, Aviation are fully launched. Absolutely, doors to manual. We have liftoff on the Platoon Aviation. Quickest, well, doing 18.5, 19 knots compared to Sled. We're a little bit slower on that left side. But it's a battle of the left to the right there. Sled and No Way Back on the left looking downwind. Crayola and Preveza coming in from the right. Who's going to prevail? And really there's nothing between Sled and No Way Back really.
No, that's right. Just two sort of split battles, and I think Crayola just got a little bit of a jump on Preveza there. It was interesting to see Preveza did jibe and sort of potentially in a compromised position, and Crayola just kept their speed up and potentially just rolled over the top, and now they're on their line. So a little bit of an advantage for Crayola, and I think Sled are doing a good job of just holding off No Way Back.
Crayola certainly a quick boat in these conditions, always was the only Vrolic design, and there was the previous Preveza 10 I think, and it's always a great little rivalry between the old Preveza and the new Preveza, but at the moment it's we're looking at Platoon Aviation, Müller-Spreer's team coming through for their second win of the regatta so far. They've gone 1-2-2-1 since race 4. Second half of the regatta looking really strong, starting to dominate. But also Preveza fading slightly in this race so far. Looks like Sled will get second with No Way Back not too far behind.
Yeah, that's right. They've done a good job just holding them off. So a keeper for Sled, and you know it just sort of narrows up the points even more. They'll jump up for the event points and potentially into that sort of podium spot. So really nice job for them, and a good keeper score of a second there.
Indeed, No Way Back. I think if they get through for third, that's going to be good for them. And actually, they're really quite close and absolutely flying through the finish line. Peter Harima, we want to call him the local owner-driver. He has a house here, and that's a solid result for them. They're in 11th at the moment. They've had a second in 2 races ago, and then a third, so loads of potential in Crayola. I think this is going to be disappointing for Preveza, considering they were second at the top mark, second at the leeward mark. And kind of insult to injury, as it were, with Crayola coming through on that run slightly quicker. It was very much a boat for boat race down that run, wasn't it, Robbie?
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be interesting to go back to have a look at the footage after the day for them, just to see sort of where they lost the places, where they lost the boat lengths, because you mentioned it, they came around the top mark in a really nice position, but it was just, I think, a couple things that didn't go their way, potentially jibes, in their manoeuvres, and I don't think they sort of made it stick as well as they could have, so just losing a little bit for them. It's still a top 5 position, so still well and truly in the hunt, aren't they, Andy?
And indeed, but they're just losing touch a little bit with Sled, their battle was to be on the podium here. Anyway, a little bit of kudos and love to the Gladiator team. A good solid result for them. They had a third in the first race. Beyond that, this is their best score. 7th in the second race yesterday, coming down with pressure.
And it looks like this sort of, Katie touched on the 2 races, it looks like this second race has sort of opened out a wee bit, hasn't it? Sort of spread between the fleet. So they were very, very close. We talked about it on the second upwind, very, very tight bunch, and now it's really spread out on this downwind.
Look at Tony Langley, he's fighting his own battle, but he absolutely loves this class, loves the fleet. And we did a nice interview with him this morning. Just
my wheel.
Geshe Prada saying, right, I'll take it, Tony, if you want to break it. He's saying, oh, my wheel. But I think they'll be a little bit happier with that. Anyway, so Gladiator get 6th. Alkedo, I think, will come through for 7th. Moving well. Paprec just struggling to get their kite. There's really don't need to have a problem getting the kite sheeted on.
Yeah,
It's going to be super close with
sneak
Allegra.
in there, yeah.
Super close with Allegra. They're just going to get the kite going and got a little bit more pace to get through Allegra. Really tight battle between the two of them. And behind that, as it ever was, Alpha Plus versus Trinity Racing. Trinity Racing sailing deep and more directly to the line. Nick Egnott-Johnson pulls the bow down, and even then maybe Vayu might have got in there, Robbie.
Yeah, they snuck in at that sort of right end of this finish line. So I think they were last going around that top mark. So nice to pick up a little place, but just sneaking in there.
And that rivalry with Alpha Plus, that's going to hurt. It's 4 seconds of delta coming through the finish line. Disappointing, I think, for Trinity Racing, Katie. They were up there in the first round and had a great start. But it's all about learning, Katie, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think we've seen, I mean, there's still clearly plenty of opportunities out here. If a boat can go from kind of, looking really, really good on the first lap to then kind of dropping down 3-4 places on the second lap, it can work in reverse as well. I think they just need to kind of regroup, have a little bit of a break, try and reset, talk about kind of maybe what went wrong, what they could have done better, and the areas for improvement, and then kind of, come back out for this next race, put that one aside, deal with it in the debrief, learn what you can from it, and just, let's go forward with a clear head and try and really hit the next one running.
Indeed, so that's our provisional results. Platoon, Sled, No Way Back, Crayola, Provezza, Gladiator, Alkedo, Allegra, Paprec and Trinity Racing. We're going to almost certainly go straight into the next race, but looking at the circuit standings, we'll do that possibly in a minute, but you don't need a calculator or a computer to work out that Platoon Aviation will have extended their circuit lead, albeit by just a single point. Anyway, Platoon Aviation on 20 points. They're now 11 points clear of Provezza, who are 7 points clear of Sled. Crayola on 40 points, still very much in touch with the podium. Vayu, that 11th, costing them a little bit, still in 5th. Trinity Racing 10th for them, to move them on to 45 points. 51 for Allegra in 7th, getting better. 4.59 is a reasonable set of scores for the last 3 races, certainly moving in the right direction. No Way Back, 3rd, gives them 8th just now. Gladiator on 9th and 53. 54 for Paprec. Alpha Plus in 11th. Alkedo still in 12th with a 7th place. Room for improvement there for the Italian team.
Yeah, absolutely. They would be wanting to sort of pick it up. They got a 3 and a 9 you see there yesterday, and a 7. So, potentially building in the right direction, but I'm sure they want to pick it up a bit more, Andy.
Normally we wouldn't focus so much at this stage of the season. We're still got a regatta plus 2 races to go. We wouldn't focus on the season standings, but they're so close. Platoon Aviation moving 1 point ahead after that race, ahead of Sled. 157 versus 158. 202 now for Alkedo in 3rd. Paprec in 211. Trinity Racing poised on 213, 218 for No Way Back. Provezza 220, 226 for Alpha Plus. Crayola in 9th, not too many changes down there in 10th and 11th. Gladiator in 12th, and Teasing Machine unfortunately still anchored to the dock with their rig problem. So that's the standings for the circuit, with 1 race left to go today, 2 tomorrow. We'll take a short break and join us again for the next race with these fantastic conditions here in Puerto Calero.
Show
At Palm Beach Motor Yachts, we build for those who lead. This comes from our history in competitive ocean racing, where advanced technologies and a spirit to win shape our every advantage on the water. We carry those lessons into every motor yacht that we design and build, using efficient and balanced hulls to deliver performance that feels effortless. Paired with meticulous craftsmanship and engineering, it creates a quiet confidence you can sense the moment you take the helm. Palm Beach Motor Yachts, from ocean racing innovation to cruising perfection.
contemplating all my time. My thoughts make me tired, just running through my mind. Wonder if there's peace that I could find, instead of always being on the grind. I need a new purpose, I'm looking for so much more. Don't leave me here searching, you're just what I'm longing for. When times are getting crazy and everything seems hazy, is there some place for safety I could go? Run away, run away, run away into your escape. Run away, run away, run away, you're never too far to run. Run away, run away, run away into your escape. Run away, run away, run away. Run away, run away, run away. It gets so loud that I can barely hear. But your words speak much louder than all my fears. Sometimes I just wanna disappear, running until I can feel you near. I need a new purpose, I'm looking for so much more. Don't leave me here searching, you're just what I'm longing for. When times are getting crazy and everything seems hazy, is there some place for safety I could go? Run away, run away, run away into your escape. Run away, run away, run away, you're never too far to run. Run away, run away, run away into your escape. Run away, run away, run away. Run away, run away, run away.
know better. Locked in my head, romanticizing forever. Last love I found, knees met the ground and all my roses died. Swore I was through, but looking at you, I think I changed my mind. Yeah, let's fall in love for the fun of it. Dive in at first and all of it. Oh, what a rush, looking into your eyes, playing it off like it's different this time. Let's break our own hearts for the fun of it. One look and I'm dying to run the risk. I'll live in your head for the rest of your life. Oh, won't you be my hopeless Valentine? My God, don't we look good together? I should be running away, but so what, whatever. Oh, last love I found, knees met the ground and all my roses died. Swore I was through, but looking at you, I think I changed my mind. Yeah, let's fall in love for the fun of it. Dive in at first and all of it. Oh, what a rush, looking into your eyes, playing it off like it's different this time. Let's break our own hearts for the fun of it. One look and I'm dying to run the risk. I'll live in your head for the rest of your life. Oh, won't you be my hopeless Valentine? Oh, won't you be my hopeless Valentine? Oh, won't you be my hopeless Valentine? You're a bad idea. Oh, but every time I see you, all reason and logic cut their losses. Yeah, let's fall in love for the fun of it. Dive in at first and all of it. Oh, what a rush, looking into your eyes, playing it off like it's different this time. Let's break our own hearts for the fun of it. One look and I'm dying to run the risk. I'll live in your head for the rest of your life. Oh, won't you be my hopeless Valentine? Oh, won't you be my hopeless Valentine? Oh, won't you be my hopeless Valentine?
Big smile, a funny face. Storm cloud, or a bit of shade. I died of passionately late. Out of my mind, or barely sane. I'm trying to catch a breath, but breathing it in. The drumming out the noise, but it's trickling in. Keep me guessing, I wonder if you know. World going round, I'm letting it spin. Light is coming down and it colors your skin. I'ma take a drive to the unknown. 'Cause I wonder what it feels like. Oh, wait a minute, now carry on. Stay down or rise above. Oh, is it a red flag or recklessly in love? When I give it my all, I just wanna be enough. Trying to run it back when I'm cold in the feet. My boat is going mad, so weak. Yeah, I'll take the plunge to see if I float. 'Cause I wonder what it feels like. What? I wonder what it feels like. What? 'Cause I wonder what it feels like. Cause I wonder
Okay.
Welcome back to Puerto Calero and the island of Lanzarote. We've just seen race 7, a great win for Platoon Aviation, which moves them clear of Provezza, now 11 points clear. Breeze seems to be still in quite nicely, Katie, a little bit of cloud cover. What's your interpretation of the way things are shaping up for the next start?
Yeah, breeze very much still in. Arguably a bit breezier than the last start. It feels like the breeze is kind of built a little bit. Definitely getting cloudier. That cloud that was kind of on the shore is kind of rolling out over the sea as well now. So it's definitely kind of feels like a breezy day. Feels like a breezy day out here, which is pretty exciting. But I think we're going to see much of the same as the last race. I think we're going to see those bigger puffs rolling down the race course, kind of well into the 20 knots. But yeah, much the same. Still a lot of shifts to be had, but pressure is pretty key here.
Pressure is key. It's going to be interesting to see whether Sled and Provezza start in the same area of the line. That's one thing to keep our eyes open for. But Provezza really have to start pulling back on Platoon Aviation a little bit. They're being chased hard by Sled, Robbie, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They've been absolutely pushed, and they've put together nice races at the start of this regatta, but then they might just be falling away a little bit, dropping a couple points here and there, and now they're sort of getting attacked, aren't they? But they're still well in that podium, and hopefully they can hold it on and put together some nice races again.
Indeed, so it's an 11-point margin just now for Platoon Aviation after that win with Provezza in 5th. So that's Platoon leading on 20, 31 for Provezza, 38 for Sled, and Creole and Vayu not far behind. So things moving in the right direction for Sled for sure. But let's see how things play out in this race.
I just want to say, Andy, I think with the race course, that has so much potential for so many tacks and jibes like we saw in that first race. I think these teams will just want to sort of execute every single little maneuver that they do really well. I think that will be a big priority for them. Obviously, if they are doing lots of tacks and jibes, it just costs that little bit. In terms of Platoon, I think they just did less maneuvers relative to the fleet, and I think that gave them a bit of an edge.
And for sure, Paprec and Alkedo both over the start line. They need to be a little bit more cautious, as we're not really seeing with Paprec at the moment, Katie. They're setting up early. Loads of...
I mean, it's almost kind of looking very very similar to what they did in the last start, setting up really early, really bow forward. Everyone, again, setting up super early, a little bit more towards the boat end this time. So it looks like they've got a little bit more space down towards this pin. But yeah, for me, Paprec need to really slow themselves up and let the fleet come up to them a little bit more. They definitely do not want to be this punched out.
It's the kind of match racing thing, isn't it, in a way? Able to sail or just able to sail slow and guard against your opponent. That's Cedric Chateau, of course, match racer in his own right. And anyway, they are setting themselves up early. It's all about being able to pull the pin and accelerate. And actually, Platoon Aviation were the past masters of that at the last time. Who's at the top end of the line, Robbie?
Well, we got No Way Back really trying to fight for their spot. They're just really at that top end. I think they might almost get shut out depending on where they are with that mark. But Preveza, Alkedo, Trinity, all these teams really bunched together. So it'd be really, a really key factor for these boats to really try to get off the line with a little bit of space. But they're really, really tight at the moment, Andy.
They are really tight, but No Way Back have got a little bit of ground to drive off into, just to leeward. In the meantime, Paprec actually coming away quite nicely for the moment. Just a second to go. It's got to be super close though, isn't it?
Yeah, very close in that middle pack there. We got Alpha Plus just jumping. You see that bow number 46. Platoon equally having a nice race. You mentioned Paprec having nice distance to leeward to work with. So, but congested in that middle pack, but nicely timed it, pulled trigger from both Alpha Plus and Platoon, Andy.
And indeed, Alpha Plus there, Platoon as well. Paprec not too bad, but it was fascinating. They're just watching Paprec were pulling Platoon Aviation forward at the same time, weren't they?
They were, yeah. They almost did the same thing they did in that last one. They just dragged the fleet up, and it sort of meant everyone came with them. This time they got it right, and they were all behind the line, but yeah, just dragged the whole fleet up. Nice starts from them. I also see Sled having to tack over and take a few sterns. You see them there on port, and with Preveza just tacking on them. That's a tough hole to get out of there, Andy.
It is indeed. Two principal protagonists for the podium overall. Criolla got away quite nicely. And No Way Back up at the top end of the line. They've certainly got themselves an early lane, Robbie, haven't they?
Yeah, they did a good job there at that committee boat. They did have that room, like you mentioned, just to stick the bow down and sail fast and pull the trigger, but they've elected to tack off early, so they're the boat heading out to that right-hand side. You see them there on your screen. They're just heading away, so oh, here we go. They come back into the fleet as well. So interesting decisions right early, but wanting to sort of shape it up as they head further up the course.
That's right, and just I think probably just take a little bit back at Alkedo just to leeward. Gladiator have a pretty solid start this time, Katie. Not a bad position at all.
I think for me they were a little bit late on the line. They got themselves kind of second row, and they had to bail out and tack. So they were kind of forced into this, from what it looked like from where I was anyway. It looked like they were kind of forced to go out towards that right-hand side. But I mean, a lot of the fleet opting to go with them. I think Sled for me is, I know they've kind of had to tack back from Preveza. They got themselves in a tricky lane. They've already had to put in 2 extra tacks on this beat. But it looks like Platoon is kind of pinned out to this left-hand side. I don't think they've got many options until Allegre and Alpha Plus decide they want to go. So I think they're going to be hoping that this side is good. But yeah, it looks like they're potentially getting a slight header into this left-hand side here. So slight left-hand breeze. I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing the boats kind of tacking back over as they're getting more into this pressure. But I think there's lots of opportunities out here still.
Yeah, indeed, but Preveza got away there really nicely, didn't they? Just seemed to get in a little band of pressure, a lefty, a little lift, and that's worked really well for them to step clear and really going nicely at the moment. Correspondingly, though, Alpha Plus are quite high on this star or this port tack where they are.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the boats on the right being on starboard coming back, and then equally the boats on the left. So we'll see who sort of wins out, but it looks like the left is really nice, like Katie said.
Indeed, Paprec seems to be quite a strong position. Not so good just now for Platoon Aviation. Platoon Aviation on our leaderboard in third it says, but let's wait and see. Everything's changing all the time. Preveza a few seconds ago looked really, really famous. Now they can't get across the fleet on starboard, having to tack and bank what they have. But it's Alpha Plus who are making the early running. having got off the line really nicely, Robbie. They had position and acceleration, speed off the line, key for Alpha Plus.
Yeah, absolutely, and they could pick their time to tack, and I think they've picked a beauty of a lane to come back on. Obviously in shift, in phase, and then they've got a lot of room and runway to leeward of them. So just sort of the fleet just hipped up above them on the windward side is probably their main competitor at the moment, but really nice just to be underneath the shift and just leading that group, that fleet, sort of across to the middle of the racetrack.
But the left getting stronger all the time, Katie?
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep an eye on the tracking because I think the right-hand side sometimes it starts to look good again and then it goes back. But I think for me, the left-hand side looking really strong at the moment. You kind of would expect that being kind of close to the shore, you'd expect to see a bit of a left wind bend and potentially a bit flatter water in here. But I still think, yeah, we're not even really halfway up this race course. So I think we're going to see probably quite a lot of lead changes. But for me, Alpha Plus's start was perfect. I mean, they kind of on the line at go, punched out, really nice start, putting themselves in a really good position to be able to be kind of bow forward of the fleet, really nice acceleration, and that's kind of paying dividends now as we see them in a really strong position here and really in a controlling position on the fleet.
Indeed, Platoon Aviation getting into a decent position as well. Sled a little bit further back in 8th, Robbie.
Yeah, they are. They're just sort of, we mentioned they had to do those couple tacks and it's just cost them a little bit. They do have a little lane heading out on the right board or on the correct board in the phase. So, that's a little bit of reprieve for them. But, yeah, they are sort of mixed up in that fleet just off the word go. And, they're going to have to work their way sort of out of this. And, they obviously are a team to do it, but we'll see how they go. And it seems that all the fleet are now on port. So they're all really coming back into that centre. Like Katie mentioned, anything could happen on the right-hand side. Prevets having to do a conceding tact.
Indeed, but it's Alpha Plus Paprec. I think going a little bit quicker, getting a little bit more height on this left side. Value there just to leeward. And for all that No Way Back seem to get a reasonable start at the boat end of the line, it's not working for them at the moment, Katie, is it?
Yeah, no, not quite. I think the boat end start and then kind of tacking out early. I don't think this right-hand side is paying strong. I think Gladiator opting to kind of take all of the sterns of the fleet and get out towards that left-hand side. They're clearly thinking they're not confident on the right at the moment. I wonder if they're looking at wind, maybe seeing some more pressure. On the left, there was kind of, it did seem like as we got to the windward mark, there was a bit more pressure and a little bit more pressure towards the left-hand side. We kind of know the top left is pretty safe and strong. But yeah, at the moment, I think looking at the angles on the shift that they're on at the moment, I think Trinity's having a bit of a hard time on this right-hand side. And I think we'll have to see how Prevets go. They're pretty punched forward on this right-hand side. If they get a good shift and come back, it could be all good. But for me at the moment, left looking strong.
Indeed, I mean, you have to pay tribute immediately to Platoon Aviation. They've got it right once again, or certainly got themselves into a strong position. And it's not just about that start, is it, Robbie? They're sailing well and they're getting themselves really into phase with the small changes.
Yeah, obviously doing a good job in phase, but and they're confident with their boat speed and how they've been sailing the boat. So yeah, everything's sort of coming together, and just the final bits is the tactics, is the shifts, just to really solidify them at the top of the fleet, and they're doing an amazing job of all those things and really putting it together.
They are just a little bit held by Paprec, such as it is, but don't think they're being hurt at the moment.
No, it even looks like Criolla just to left of them, having a really nice, sort of getting a little bit more of that left-hander. I wonder if the further left you go, just that little bit more shift you do get. So potentially a little reward for boats wanting to just hitch out and take a little bit more of that left-hand side.
But Paprec going well just now, Katie. Head to head with Platoon Aviation on this left side. Value in the mix in 5th.
Paprec looks like they've got pretty good speed out here. I mean, they're getting more and more kind of bow forward on Alpha Plus as we're going along. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure whether that's speed or shift. I mean, that's liable to change because we are going to probably have at least kind of a couple more shifts on this upwind still. But yeah, speed-wise, I mean, I'm not surprised by Paprec's speed in this. They're very much pulling forward on the fleet. Platoon definitely hanging on in there. Alpha Plus dropping back a little bit, which is a bit sad to see after such a good start, but it may still come good. They may get a real nice kind of right-hand shift, manage to come back up and control the pack back into the middle of the course or towards that windward mark if they get to the ley line.
It's still very puffy, isn't it? We can see the puffs, the little gusts coming down off the shore.
Yeah, very much so. And I think the difference between the gusts and the lulls is still pretty big. The gusts are pretty, they are pretty fruity. Like when we got to the finish of that last race, for example, the pressure that we saw at that windward mark, it kind of carried all the way down, and when you can tell it's windy, like you're looking at the water and you're like, okay, it is a dark blue right now. It is breezy. Whereas right now it's not quite like that. Looking upwind, there is a bit more of that coming down. So again, it's just kind of pulsing through. We've got lighter patches, we've got breezier patches, and it's a tricky old day to manage.
It is indeed. Just watching how Platoon are Müller-Spreer just kind of in the sandwich between Alpha Plus and Paprec, but they really do have really solid speed, Robbie, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They definitely got the wheels upwind. You see the bows really chopping through the waves now. So I think that's just to do with the little bit more pressure, the little bit more power the boats have, so they can really drive through it. But a really nice shot of just all these teams sort of lined up and how they're sort of driving through these waves. But Paprec doing a really nice job of keeping their wheels.
Indeed. Platoon, Aviation and Paprec are top two boats, Alpha Plus. So certainly this left side playing out quite nicely for the meantime. Alkedo and Sled way over on that right side.
Yeah, Previtsa and No Way Back picking their time to come back from the right-hand side. Doesn't look too favourable for them at the moment, I don't think. But yeah, it's just tough break to sort of have a consistent left shift the whole way up this first beat after taking an early advantage, Andy.
Indeed, I think there was probably a little bit more pressure on the right side at this point on the previous race. Left a little bit more favoured just now, but everything to play for, Katie. On board briefly with Previtsa there. Previtsa have got some work to do. And for all that, the No Way Back had a decent start, as you were saying, Robbie. Really not coming back on a very favourable angle at all.
Yeah, they did a good job. We mentioned that boat end start they had, but yeah, the right hand just really not sort of paying dividends for them. I mean, it's tough to sort of come back on, not in phase, but needing to get back to the middle of the course. Otherwise, you're just stuck out into the ley lines with no options.
But actually, the fleet's spreading out quite significantly at the moment, considering how far. I mean, No Way Back are now over 300 metres behind leaders Alpha Plus and Platoon Aviation Paprec. So it's shaping up a little bit like the previous race, Katie, where we had some big gaps between the leading 3, 4, 5 boats and the boats behind. It's very similar in that respect just now. You want to be on the right side of the divide, don't you?
Yeah, I think those gaps come from it's the difference between those boats that get themselves clear and are able to make their own decisions versus the boats that are kind of potentially on the back foot and out of phase with the conditions. I was just thinking about being out of phase, and it kind of reminds me of, when you're trying to walk in step with someone and then you can't quite manage to get in step and you got to do this little shuffle to try and get back in step with them. It's kind of like that on days like today.
Have you been watching me walking,
if
Katie?
it's not in step. I have been, of course, yes.
I'm like the slowest walker in the world.
But we can kind of see. Yeah, I am quite a slow walker, unless I'm cold and then I walk faster or hungry.
Exactly.
But I think we can see Gladiator and Criolla trying to do the little steps, because I think the right-hand side seems to be, that right-hand side seemed to be pretty strong, but it looks like that front bunch got a bit of a right-hand shift, and Criolla and Gladiator not wanting to dig into that header. They wanted to tack early, so I think it does look like those two teams are trying to do a little little shuffle to get
Little
back
Katie
into,
shuffle, we'll call
into
it.
phase with the shifts and hope it comes back. Yeah, the Katie shuffle. I'll have to do a little video demonstration for you.
For Valencia. Anyway, I mean, the thing that strikes me most about Platoon Aviation is the confidence, and that's making the difference to a certain extent, and how they set up and able to impose themselves coming off the line. It's super subtle, but there's a real cohesion in the team at the moment. I think everybody's smiling, and they've been through the wars together, and here they are coming out the other side. I think there's the scent of the potential, or certainly the battle, being in the battle for the circuit title. That's what drives Harm. That's what drives Vasco as much as anything. And now there's kind of the scent of blood, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure. It's very much, they've got the bit between their teeth. They're very much going for it, and I think they seem to be very much on the up and up. I think it's actually really nice to see Platoon being at the front of the fleet again. I think we saw in the last regatta, it was kind of, there were so close moments, but stuff kept happening, and they just kept not quite managing to finish it off. So actually it's really nice to see them back kind of on their game, back, the kind of, seems like luck isn't the right word, but things aren't going as wrong, things aren't breaking as much at the moment. Touch wood. Why am I saying all of this? But yeah, it's really nice to see.
No, but they've made they've made good their problems. You know, they realised that they had a problem with kites breaking them. They've put that right. But I think they analysed. You know, going back to the previous regattas, they analysed the fact they were still getting penalties. They were still getting into high-risk situations, and Criolla coming in from the left, and they were the biggest investor in the left, and coming in quite nicely, Katie, by the looks of things.
Yeah, I think Criolla looking pretty nice coming in here. They're pretty close to that the protector mark again. I mean, that's quite a nice position to be in. I think they have got that bunch of 4 boats out on that starboard ley line. It looks, from where I am at the moment, just kind of like eyeballing it, it looks like they may even just get the cross on Paprec, as long as the wind stays the same. Paprec looking pretty comfortable on that ley line, so I think Criolla definitely has space underneath them to put attack in, although Paprec is very much dialing down to try and make sure that does not happen. But yeah, Criolla going for a little tack inside. I think Paprec will potentially, to be honest, I think they're just going to be neck and neck around this windward mark. I think Criolla's going to have to go a bit high and slow to get around. Paprec is, they're going to be, kind of trying to roll over the top, and it's going to be all on this hoist. But super nice job by Criolla, making it super simple. We've seen them do this all, that's kind of their MO, starting off the pin, heading out towards that left-hand side, and yeah, they got really nice shift back in and really made it work, and now rounding in first place, which is very well deserved.
Indeed, so too for Paprec. Paprec getting round in second. I mean, these two boats, I think, holding up slightly, which has been to the advantage, or to the gain, if you like, for Platoon Aviation and Alpha Plus. Platoon Aviation just managed to sail, or they had a better, slightly more conservative ley line, came in with speed, so they're right on the stern of Paprec. So too with Alpha Plus. But then Vayu have come in there quite nicely in the end. It seems like Alpha Plus and Vayu are inseparable half the time.
Yeah, it looks like they're always sort of battling it out together. I mean, if they're, at the front of the pack, then they do it together. And equally, from what we saw in that first race, sort of leaving points on the board for both teams. But I just want to reiterate, I really like what Criolla did just at that top mark. I mean, they didn't want to go with the pack. They just sort of said they were happy to, chance it out on the left-hand side, break away a little bit, and it's paid them dividends. But as we see, Paprec just not wanting to fight it too much. I think they were just getting a bit of heat from Platoon there, so happy to just sort of clear their air, clear their eyes, and just jibe over. So all race on here. It still looks very fruity, and I'm wanting to see how Paprec sort of play this one, especially with Criolla just ahead of them.
Indeed, Platoon Aviation poised behind them. So we've got a split. We've got Criolla coming down the right side, Paprec going left. Paprec seem to be in quite nice breeze there, just looking at how they're moving, looking at Platoon Aviation.
Yeah, a couple of boats copied them as well, so there certainly would be something out there. You see the fleet just sort of electing to do the set and jibe.
For me, the breeze looks to be coming down the left on the inside of the track. I think Loic Perron may have called that one right for the moment. However, let's see. I may be proven wrong. Certainly Platoon following Criollo down this right side. Katie, your thoughts on the breeze coming down this first run?
Yeah, I think I kind of would have to agree with you. I think that Paprec have done a really nice job of driving out. It looks to me, I'm out with Criollo and Platoon. We're just kind of heading downwind level with these guys, and this side has been a little bit softer since they've been around the windward mark. It looks like the pressure is more out on the other side. However, I'm kind of looking upwind, and there is pressure closer to the land. There is definitely pressure coming down. There's a big old dark patch, so it's, I guess, Criollo and Platoon potentially looking backwards at that pressure and kind of expecting that to come down this side of the track, and hoping to probably take that jibe back in with that and follow that down. But it's just whether that pressure comes far enough out to reach these guys. But yeah, definitely two very different tactics, and Paprec really making the most of kind of what breeze they had at that windward, and really opting to kind of jibe away from the softer pressure and trying to find something out on that left-hand side looking downwind.
But the majority of the boats have gone left downwind in terms of the split, I think. But the breeze just pulsing down off the land.
Yeah, you've got most of the fleet. Yeah, you've got the kind of Criollo, the leaders, and then you've got Platoon and Bayou, so kind of like a bit of a split. It's kind of like not necessarily all top three leaders or top three boats. You've got a bit of a split, and then you've got Gladiator as well opting to go this way. I think this way, right downwind, it is less congested, so I do think that will be playing a factor. They are potentially able to kind of sail in better breeze. I mean, just watching, looking back now, Gladiator's just got into a really big puff. I can see the boat really powering up. I can see I can see the boat heeling over with that pressure, so it does look like there's pressure coming down. I can't quite see on the other side if they're kind of in the same pressure, Paprec and the likes of those guys out on that side. But yeah, it's just going to be whether this pressure holds. I think less congested is always better in this stuff because it takes pressure off manoeuvres, and it means that you can sail your own modes, which is really critical in, well, I mean, any day racing, to be honest.
Indeed, just watching to see how hard the teams are working to use every ounce of wind pressure, and Criollo, they're very dynamic, just getting onto the little gust, and that's kept them clear. Let's look at just quickly looking at the projected points standing, and that would give an 8-point lead to Platoon Aviation. It's changing all the time. A minute ago it was the 11 points, but Prevets are coming back in this race very slightly. But great thing to see Criollo moving up to third place on the podium. Sled are missing the podium by 4 points at the moment. Value in fifth just now, but that is I'm sure that will change significantly before the end of this race. But really, breeze coming in quite nicely. Criollo really starting to ramp it up, Robbie, aren't they?
Yeah, breeze coming in nicely, but I think also there's a lot of shift with that breeze as well. I think we saw the boats that did jibe out early were looking good, but I think they just sort of had potentially a light spot or maybe a bit of a lift, and they just sort of lost a bit of distance, so it came back to the benefit of Criollo and Platoon. But yeah, I think there's a lot of shift still happening out there as well. We're not seeing as many jibes on this downwind. Most of the boats happy to sort of continue and sort of play those shifts just in a straight line. But yeah, interesting to me that there's still very, very shifty on this downwind, Andy.
Indeed, but Criollo still hanging in there. A little bit of a slow jibe as Platoon Aviation will come directly at them and elect to jibe inside. Or thinking about it, just I don't know whether it was a dummy jibe or whether they thought they'd get there, and then in the end, although Criollo's jibe was not the strongest, it actually threw a little bit of a dummy to Platoon Aviation, Robbie, didn't it?
Yeah, tough work for Platoon. I think, obviously jibing from starboard to port is harder with the swell, and yeah, Platoon just sort of hesitating in the middle of that, which means they didn't execute that as well as they could have. So, I mean, they were very close, weren't they? I mean, Platoon have closed up this gap.
Indeed they have, but I think there was just that moment where Vasco was saying, right, come on, let's get down inside them. They've just fluffed their jibe very slightly. In the end, both probably losing out as much, but it's super close between Paprec and Criollo. Paprec out on that left side. We can see that blue kite. They're a long way, big lateral separation for the moment. Paprec they're probably about even at the moment, Robbie, really, aren't they, in terms of wind speed and angle.
Yeah, exactly. But I think Paprec just have a touch more boat speed as they're sort of coming into this convergence between the two sort of sides. I think they're just able to bring a bit more pace into it. So I think that'll be to their advantage. But we are getting down to sort of the gate selection as well. So that's really going to play into the tactician's hands.
Just watching Alkedo out furthest on the left side seemed to have really profited in the pressure coming down furthest. They were certainly out furthest on the left and coming in with speed, starting to get in between Criolla and Platoon Aviation.
They really snuck their way through, didn't they?
They did. We can see them actually on the edge of that pressure, looking at how they're really made that work and actually might be able to sail round Paprec. Platoon Aviation working hard, a little bit in Criolla's wake momentarily. But it's just all about getting the gusts, using them to best effect as they roll down the course. And Criolla, Cameron Appleton, and Alvaro Marinho calling this calling it nicely for the moment.
Seems like the fleet's really wanting to head to the edges, doesn't it? They don't really want to be in the middle of that course.
Indeed, I mean, I'm guessing again the same thing applies with that big mountain up to windward. But it's all about wind pressure for the moment.
They've certainly got enough of it. I mean, you see all the spray coming over the bow. It's not quite Rubicon, but almost there, Andy.
It is indeed, but actually things, as is very often the case, Alkedo starting to run out of pressure on that side, Katie, and the pendulum swings back towards the team who led round the top, Mark Criolla and Platoon Aviation. But Alkedo made a gain, Katie, haven't they?
Yeah, for sure. They've made a really nice gain there, actually. I think it is just about linking all of this pressure together. I think the differences between the gusts and the lulls are so big. And that's also, I think, you really notice that a lot more downwind as well. With the changes in angles, there is shifts, but there is also kind of pressure shifts. So you can really tell the difference when boats are in the lighter pressure compared to because their angles will be a bit higher, and actually the more pressure you get, the faster, or like the closer to the marks you can sail, because you can travel downwind further or more of a downwind angle for the same speed. So that's, yeah, and I think Alkedo just managed to really link together that pressure. I think they're all going to be thinking, kind of trying to make decisions at the moment about the gate mark and which gate to go round. I think they're going to be, I mean,
not sure what's going on
with that decision, looking up with.
Sorry, Katie, not sure what was going on with Platoon Aviation momentarily, but certainly sailing very high, going behind Alkedo. I think they want to get right out to that left-hand side, as you're talking about gate selection, Robbie.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it really comes down to how you're sort of set up. Do you have pace coming into the gate? Are you just that little half boat length in front where you can sort of pick your own option to get round? I think this sort of left-hand turn, the closest one to Paprec here, I think that's going to be really hotly contested. They might just be able to get in front of these boats, but I think it's going to be really, really tight.
I think they have the advantage just now, but it's going to be all about the drop. I think they've dropped it early. Could be to Criolla's advantage, but they're going to come across and will should just have the overlap and be able to. The main thing for them is they'll have mark room as they go round, and actually it's quite nice because they've set up drop with the early drop. They should be able to come away with that with a little bit of a lead still on Criolla.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see Paprec sort of come out of that the best. I mean, they did have the hard turn of sort of that button hook as they had to do more or less 200 degrees turn.
That's right, but they got the kite away early. They set up for it and they knew that was coming. And so that's worked to their best effect because they've got a slightly better line going upwind, although you're always trying to avoid the boats coming down to them. But Platoon Aviation had to take a couple of sterms coming in there. They're still in third. And I think the main thing for them is getting away from Alkedo as best they can.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be too unhappy with having a split here. I think, they got a little bit caught up. You mentioned just taking those sterns, which didn't really work out for them. But I think just a little split and a little spread, especially in such a dynamic racetrack that we have out here. I think it's really going to work into the benefit, and I think Platoon are going to be happy just to sail their own race and see how it ends up.
What were you seeing at that leeward gate there? It was loads of action, Katie. What did you take away from it?
Oh man, so much action. The turn up from Paprec was filthy. It was so nice. They just spun it in, spun the little jibe in, and I was like, oh, hello. Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the boats were kind of overlay coming in. I mean, that's why Paprec had to do such a big spin up and had to drop so early, because they were coming in overlaid to the leeward marks, which in this breeze you really can't do. Really nice job by Vayu. Actually, they were a little bit pinned out, they were overlay, but because they had the inside line, they were then able to get round inside the group and actually got a really nice rounding that meant that Alkedo had no option but to go below them. And now you can see they went round the lewards basically at the same time, but you can kind of see you can see at the moment the on the tracking especially, and probably on the drones if there's drone shots, but the distance now between Vayu and Alkedo, that's all down to Vayu getting a really nice rounding and managing to actually get on the inside at the leeward marks. I think also another note was Gladiator did a really nice job out on that other side. They really stayed away from the congestion, and actually it's interesting that all of the boats that held out, so Vayu and Gladiator and Criolla, all kind of actually now very much top half of the fleet. That it seemed to be quite a gain to be on that side, clearer breeze potentially, a bit more breeze, and they did a really nice job of managing the leeward marks. So really good job from Vayu and Gladiator, both of them, on really managing the leeward marks well and managing to take quite a lot of places from where they rounded those windwards.
I daren't say it, but it started to shape up to be a solid day for the Gladiator.
Don't you dare.
I didn't say that, did I? Just rewind. But also great to see Paprec on form. Cedric Chateau there on the helm. Stefan Navy, our main sheet trimmer.
It looks like these boats just happy to sort of ride out this right-hand phase. I think they came round the gates and they were just straight onto the lifted board, and you just see Paprec really trying to milk as much as they can out of it. At some point they're going to have to start thinking about coming back into the middle of the course and potentially covering the fleet, but looks like they're happy just sailing their own one at the moment, Andy.
It does a little bit slowed for me just now compared to Criolla, who have gone back to the right. Platoon Aviation have actually come out of that not too badly at all. It was kind of heart in the mouth stuff when Platoon Aviation were going across taking sterns, but they've done that to hold their position coming into the leeward gate. As Katie was saying, so many teams overstood coming into that leeward gate.
I think those boats on the right will just be really patient with their time, and I think they're just trying to choose when they come back, and they're just sort of hoping that a righty comes for them. I think the early advantage for these boats out the left-hand side now is that they were on that lifted board straight away, so just being patient for Gladiator and Platoon equally. So it looks like they might be coming back now, so potentially a little shift in the breeze, and we'll see how they sort of shape up as they head towards the middle of the track.
So the windward leg has been shortened very slightly by a matter of 100 metres or so. It's down to 1.9 metres, 1.9 nautical miles, but the same bearing, which is interesting, pretty solid direction. Platoon Aviation losing out momentarily to Vayu. The key thing for Platoon Aviation is just to keep cool heads, not get involved with the traffic.
I think they'll be, not too displayed. I think they will be sort of happy with how it's sort of shaping up. They're in that top bunch anyways, and we know they can fight through it. So certainly not panic stations by any means. They're just.
No, but I think the main thing is that they don't start having a private battle with any other boat, which is we've seen that a little bit before. They need to just focus big picture on the winning the regatta and putting points on the board against Sled. And knowing what could happen, it's so super close. Anyway, they look quite good. Over on that right side there, we can see Sled, Vayu here.
Yeah, I wonder if, Vayu and Alkedo, the teams that want to sort of head out to this left-hand side, the furthest left on the fleet, I wonder how they'll sort of shape up when they come back. We saw, quite a bit of profit, quite a bit of benefit from the boats that did head out to that left-hand side on the first beat. So just wonder, how they're going to shape up and just keep an eye on them.
What do you think, Katie?
Great question. I think the pressure looks pretty good out on this left-hand side for me at the moment. I think they're definitely they're probably trying to sail into that pressure, and we know that top left has historically been strong kind of all week. Criolla really making that top left-hand side work on the first upwind. It's definitely the safer option to be, but at the moment they are getting quite a lot of leverage and they are committing quite hard. They're getting quite close to the ley line, so they're really not leaving themselves many options to do many more tacks. If there's many more shifts, if they get right to the ley line, that's kind of full commitment. But as I said, I'm looking upwind now and I can't see any big holes out on this left-hand side, so that indicates to me that potentially it could be a relatively stable breeze up until this windward mark. But we'll have to wait and see. I think there is there is quite a big split. It'll be, I think Vayu and Alkedo kind of went round around the same time as Gladiator, so that's kind of when they regroup together, they'll be the ones to watch in terms of who's made the gain, who's made the loss. But it looks like Alkedo and Vayu very much wanting to hit this left-hand side. And I think that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Again, it's so interesting that these teams went around the leeward mark at the same time, and the distance between them kind of laterally is really quite big now. We've had Alkedo going for a much lower, faster mode. They've been consistently kind of over 9 knots of speed. They've been 9s, 9.5s, going a little bit bow forward, whereas you've got Vayu who've been going for a kind of slightly higher mode, 8.5 to 9 knots. So that speed difference is not insignificant, but it'll be interesting when they tack back, whose mode has got been the best basically, and it looks like they're synchro tacking now, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, just watching actually, Sled seem to have themselves a problem there over on the right hand side of the track. We could see them with their jib down, so that might be that's very significant. They're actually heading in the wrong direction on the tracker, so hopefully get some shots of that. But they clearly have some problems at the front of the boat with a tack fitting possibly, or
I wonder what that is. I mean, I don't like the look of that, floppy bit of stay at the front there. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, maybe a fitting gone or something, because they certainly don't have any pressure on that. They'll need to stabilise that as quickly as possible. But anyway, that is a really, really tough situation for Sled. They were in contention for the regatta, and certainly they're the main protagonist against Platoon Aviation. Fortunately, or the saving grace is this is the second race of the day. Hopefully can get things sorted out, but that's tough moments for the Sled team.
Yeah, real tough break. It looks like, I was just watching the tracker there before this happened, and it looked like they were really working their way through the fleet. They were having to sort of tack and be ping-ponged around a little bit, but it looked like they were going to come out of that middle pack nicely. So definitely a tough break for the team Sled there.
Anyway, let's wait and see, and we'll...
So the chat on Sled...
Go ahead, Katie.
The chat on Sled is that it is potentially a broken forestay. I think that's what I've just been told is potentially the issue, so that's a bit of a major. Hopefully they're able to sort that out for tomorrow, but I think that's them definitely done for today. Thankfully, just this one race, but yeah, we'll see whether they can sort that out for tomorrow or not.
Yeah, real major. No, sorry, Andy. It just looked like they did a good job just to potentially get that kite halyard straight around the forestay to sort of act as a second,
stay.
Yeah, exactly, a temporary stay and keep the mast in the air. But yeah, that's a big one.
It's a big one. Hopefully they'll get things sorted out for tomorrow. But it's a big problem for them at the moment. But in the meantime, Paprec leading with Criolla second. Platoon Aviation working that right side. The right side is I think more consolidated on that side. I think probably as much as anything they were kind of keeping their main rivals for the circuit and the regatta title. That was at that point Sled and Provezza behind them on that right side. But really Gladiator going quite well. Katie in fourth now. Trinity Racing in fifth. But the battle is between Criolla and Paprec. Platoon Aviation coming across from the right in reasonable shape, we think. Robbie, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think.
We'll get a shot now of them.
Yeah, I think you just see the two boats in front of them there doing a nice job of just riding out the phase, and I think we're just seeing, or starting to see, longer phases in the breeze, maybe potentially not as quick and shifty. Obviously still shifty, but a little bit more time in between the phases. Platoon having to go, you know, they're sort of running out of options as they get further to that starboard ley line. So Paprec and Criolla just doing a good job to sort of shut down the race. I wouldn't be surprised if sort of Criolla gets that ley line, tack over, and Paprec will just put in a defensive one. So most of the fleet on this starboard ley line. I really do wonder how Vayu and Alkedo will really fare as they come out of that left-hand side, Andy.
Indeed, but it's Paprec and Criolla. I think Platoon Aviation in consolidation mode for the moment. Their main rivals for the regatta title just now are comfortably behind them. That's Pravetsa, less so Vayu. Vayu have dropped significantly, haven't they? They were well up there on the bottom mark, and now down in 10th. But it's just, that's traffic and being in that group and not being able to impose themselves in the group, really, isn't it?
That's me talking about them and dropping places again like yesterday.
Anyway, we'll see whether they can get back. Norway back have pulled back a few places. They were well down at the Lure turn.
Looks like they're very bunched, to be honest, those sort of gladiator trinity, aren't they? Platoon. So I think that'll just really get to the pinch point here of, I mean, they're under ley line for sure. So I think it'll really get to that pinch point together, and we'll see how they sort of end up. Obviously, Platoon having a little bit of advantage, but they're still definitely under the heat.
They are indeed. There's on board with Criolla. I think Paprec really with quite a comfortable lead in the end. I think they'll be happy with this win. It's been a little bit of an up and down regatta. I think you come into, if you won the previous regatta in big breezes, you come here with high expectations. You maybe say otherwise and mentally tell yourselves otherwise, but it's never easy to come away from a win and come to regatta, the next regatta, and maintain the same level of performance, Katie, is it?
No, very much not, and it's quite hard because you have to manage expectations, especially because we're coming back to Lanzarote, so it's 2 back-to-back in Lanzarote, and the expectations is kind of like a breezier week, and if you know that you've performed well in one of those regattas, it's quite hard to manage the expectations for the next one, and it does just kind of add that bit of pressure, and it also kind of, you've had a taste of it, you've had a taste of winning, and it's really hard to kind of keep calm almost. But I think, yeah, they've had a shaky start to the week. I mean, as I kind of said earlier in the week, chatting to Stefan, he was kind of saying that they just hadn't quite managed to get in phase with the breeze. They were just kind of, whichever side was paying, they were just on the wrong side, and it was just a really frustrating day. And it's really nice today that we've kind of seen them really stretch their legs in the breeze again, just kind of show us what they're made of again in this breezier stuff, and they've kind of managed to get a bit of a jump on Criolla and just take a semi-comfortable lead, but nothing is a given in days like today.
It's not indeed. In fact, Paprec coming in quite light breeze. There's a breeze line there just behind Criolla. Criolla coming into the windward mark hole, as it were. I mean, 'twas ever thus. It's up and down all the time.
You almost
very often you see this when the breeze is offshore. Venues all around Europe, shall we say?
Yeah,
and Platoon Aviation coming in, actually probably closing a little bit of distance. The boat's behind their Trinity, and Trinity coming in with pressure and height, and Gladiator charging in a little bit high on the protector mark, but they should be able to just squeeze in front of the boats coming in on starboard. But Paprec leading away with Criolla giving chase.
Yeah, you almost wonder if Paprec will, do the same thing they did last time, just do a nice
jibe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so going for the set and then jibing straight away. You mentioned the pressure line that was just at them at the top mark, so potentially wanting to jibe into that, but we'll see how they come round. Platoon, for me, doing a good job of just sort of holding off the fight and being able to have a comfortable third place. And it's really, really tight in this middle of the pack here, Andy. Look at them come in on port and just sort of having to tack over and picking when and how they can.
No way back coming out of that. Well, they were coming out of it okay, but they're in terms of positioning, but they're really having to fight hard to get up to the windward mark and round. But they're doing a good job there, holding up Pravetsa behind. Pravetsa very deep in this race once again. Unfortunately, they are round and then.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, Alpha Plus,
Alpha Plus, I mean, they came off the line with one of the best starts, and here they are. Well, they're actually only 6th or 7th, depending. Allegra 8th, and Alkedo there. Alkedo were also right up there in the mix, coming up that first beat, and also on that run they've made a big gains. But it's really swings and roundabouts, Katie, isn't it? It's big ups and big downs, with the exception being the top 2 boats, arguably the top 3.
Oh, massively so. I mean, Gladiator and Trinity, I'm pretty sure that first windward were in 11th and 12th, and they're now up in 4th and 5th, which is, pretty epic. And then, as you say, like Bayou and Allegre only just rounding the windward mark now, having gone from, I think they were in 4th and 5th, or somewhere around that, and they've now gone to 11th and 12th. So it's like full switcheroo out here. And I think potentially even more of that on the downwinds. I think it'd be really interesting. I think holding on for quite a long time worked on the last downwind, but where I am at the moment, there is not a huge amount of breeze, and we've got a lot of the fleet opting to kind of jibe out early. The only one left coming out this way now is Gladiator. They're allowing Trinity to kind of split from them. But yeah, Paprec opting to jibe with the fleet, probably jibing into some pressure, and hoping to take that down to the finish line. We'll see, but we'll see if there is a split in the fleet. We'll have to see how that comes out.
Indeed, great shot though. Nice blue skies, blue sea, and you could really see the pressure as always with our wonderful drone shots. Crayola flying there, but probably a little bit more wind for the boat to weather.
Yeah, you almost just sort of see Platoon there, and you just start to think about their downwind attacks, don't you? I almost get the sort of Jaws theme song in my head now after what they did to boats yesterday. So, I mean, there's quite a bit of distance there, but yeah, it's sort of, definitely something that I'm thinking about, sort of how they're playing the attack now.
But Crayola going well as well. I mean, they're sailing fast, but sailing a couple of degrees lower than Platoon Aviation. Boat furthest out to weather.
That's Pravetsa there. So having a bit of trouble with the kite, aren't they?
They're having a little bit of trouble with the kite, but when they get it on, they're going to be going like a bullet. However, they just need to get it sheeted. Not sure what's going on there, but certainly loads of pressure out where they are. And probably this really is a great run at the moment for Platoon Aviation. Super quick downwind. And there's more pressure coming to them over Vasco Vascotto's right shoulder.
Yeah, looking at the tracker, it always seems like they're a little bit faster in boat speed as well. You see.
Here we go, just Sled there heading back for the dock, unfortunately.
Yeah, you touched on Crayola, Andy, as we see Platoon go through their jibe. You touched on Crayola, they're sailing really well. You mentioned your slow burner. They've just been up there, always fighting, always picking off, and they've had a really good day, haven't they?
They have indeed. It was very, very disappointing. We're waiting to interview them for our intro piece in the live show, and their briefing went on and on and on and on, and clearly whatever the content of that briefing was, it's really hit home beautifully, because they really have been one of the strongest teams today. And here you could see Sled with their problem. Broken forestay is what we're told.
Yeah, it didn't look too happy, did it?
Looks to be down low near the tack fitting.
Good to see the mast still in the air, though. So
That's the main thing.
yeah, so hopefully they can, potentially a long night for the boys back on shore, but hopefully they can get out for tomorrow because, yeah, dropping points now really, isn't obviously what they want.
But the great thing in these situations is there's always a huge amount of solidarity between the teams within reason, as we saw with the Gladiator problem in the kind of short to medium term. They had lots of help, or lots of offers of help from the other teams in the 52 Super Series, and things starting to go better for the Gladiator team.
Wonder if we'll see any of the Sled boys at the crew party tonight, Andy.
I would think
Probably not anymore. Yeah.
However, Criolla have sailed a really solid race, got off the start line early and made that left side work for them. But Criolla have gone 4-4, and this would be a second probably. And looking like a solid third for Platoon Aviation. Maybe we could have a look at the projected standings after this race. And I think we would see that, that's quite a big lead now for Platoon Aviation versus Preveza. That's 17 points. That's as big a lead as we've seen in any regatta so far this season, I think. I can confidently say that.
Yeah, they've been the only ones to really have consistently low results. I mean, we've seen this whole event, boats having high scores and low scores, and they've just kept it really, really consistent. So that's really a product of that. And, 17 points is amazing. We still have another day to go as well.
So Preveza in second, not having a great race. However, they're in second. Criolla up to third, and actually they've got an 8-point gap now to Trinity Racing. Sled obviously will that breakage will impact on their regatta score for sure. I say hopefully they might be able to get back out tomorrow. Not holding out too many hopes, but never mind. But at the moment it's a consolidation mode just now for Platoon Aviation. They're quite a distance behind Platoon Aviation, and their most engaging rival at the moment is Gladiator, who are very, very close to them.
Yeah, they're right on their hammer. We just
Paprec,
go ahead.
Paprec just coming through the finish line. This will be their second win of the week, but they've also had an 11th and a 12th in that scoreline. But all credit to the French team. There, happy days for Les Bleus. A few little crew changes. There's Johan Richomme, second of Vendée Globe, on his second regatta with the Paprec team, his main sponsor for the IMOCA programme.
I think this is going to be a close finish here, Andy.
It is going to be a close finish with Gladiator. They're coming in with max speed. I think Criolla will get there. And actually Gladiator are through Platoon Aviation. So that's interesting. That's a great result for Platoon. Criolla will just come through the line and I think get their jibe in.
Gladiator.
Maybe Gladiator get there.
Wow.
It's just super close. And Gladiator get there. Criolla next, and Platoon Aviation losing a place on the finish line. Gladiator get second there. What about that?
That's an awesome downwind by Team Gladiator. I mean, they were definitely the furthest boat back out of that bunch to come through and get 2 spots, especially right on the finish line. That's an awesome downwind from the boys.
Indeed, so a little bit disappointing for Platoon Aviation. But a great win for Paprec. Gladiator gets second, Criolla third, Platoon Aviation fourth. The Trinity Racing get fifth. They've made some nice comeback. And there we go, Peter Hirma on the no way back, finding a way back down that run. Alpha Plus will be disappointed with that, considering how good they were on the first upwind, however. But that left side downwind, Katie, really playing off big time. Allegra there coming through. Preveza will be disappointed with that. Go on, Katie.
No, I was going to say, yeah, that left side really strong, but actually watching Gladiator's angles on both of the downwinds, they seem to have really, really good depth, which just allows them to sail inside the fleet. I think they're sailing the boat really well, and I know that they are pretty confident on their downwind speed anyway. But yeah, we can, like, just seeing, if you look back at the tracking and things like that, just have a quick look at the Gladiator angles, because they are definitely a lot lower on the downwinds, which I think opens up a lot of opportunities for them.
It does indeed. I think it also helps you helping load the sails in the morning is a big, big difference.
I think that makes all the difference. I think it conserves their energy, you know. Maybe I need to do that for other teams too.
You're available.
For the right price.
Exactly. Harm. However, great score for the Paprec team. A really wonderful second place for Gladiator. Just really, as Katie said, sailing faster, deeper angles downwind, and really probably that's their best score for, I think, probably in Lanzarote so far. I may be wrong about that, but certainly best score here at the Puerto Calero event. Criolla in third, leading early on. I think they'll still be reasonably happy with that. Platoon Aviation, food for thought. I mean, they were up there. I think the approach to the leeward gate, Robbie, was where they started to lose out, having to take a couple of sterns and then try and come down from there. I think they lost a little bit on that point.
Yeah, I think they did. I absolutely agree with that. I mean, it's still an absolute keeper, and they're still growing their lead, especially with Provezza being down there as well. So, no, still another good race for them. But, yeah, potentially just sort of sharpening things up just to make sure they don't drop anymore.
Indeed. Anyway, let's look at the regatta standings after 8 races. 2 to go tomorrow, a big finale. Platoon Aviation will go into that finale with a 16-point lead on 24 points. Provezza on 40 points. Criolla moving up to third on 43 points. Trinity Racing up to fourth now, 50 points. Sled, unfortunately, scoring that DNF, 14 points. That really weights them down once again just when things were going better. So they're on 52 points. Vayu on sixth on 54 points. Paprec, 55 points, 55 for Gladiator, 59 for No Way Back, Allegra 59. So let's say, I mean, obviously you would start to think that top three are in a strong position to finish in that order tomorrow, but anything can happen. But, you know, between 4th and 50 and 10th on 59, we've got 2 races. Anything could happen in that group. It's going to be an exciting finale. Alpha Plus down in 11th on 62 points. Alkedo on 73 points. Again, food for thought for them, and they were really well up in that race at one point, Robbie, weren't they, and ending up with an 11th.
Yeah, chance their arm out on the left-hand side, similar to what Vayu did, and it just didn't pay off for them. So another double-digit score, and yeah, just more points adding up on the board.
Anyway, let's look at the circuit standings. It's kind of got a little bit of a hollow feel to it because of that problem with Sled. Things definitely moving in the direction of the German team, Platoon Aviation, who are now on 161 points. Sled on 172. Paprec up there in third now on 212, overtaking their blue rivals, the Italian blue rivals, Alkedo Setelar now on 213. Trinity Racing not far behind on 218. No Way Back 224, 229 for Provezza, 233 for Alpha Plus. Criolla 244. Vayu 268 in 10th, Allegra in 11th on 271, Gladiator in 12th on 293, but a good result for them, taking second. So that's the circuit standings, all to play for. Our best wishes, our positive thoughts with the Sled team. Here's hoping they can pull off something overnight. We'll get the details once they get ashore. But anyway, great day's racing. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, Katie. Do join us again tomorrow for the final day of the Puerto Calero Lanzarote 52 Super Series. The Royal Cup is at stake. Platoon Aviation have won it 3 times. It looks like it might be 4 for the German team. Join us tomorrow.
Get
Beach Motor Yachts, we build for those who lead. This comes from our history in competitive ocean racing, where advanced technologies and a spirit to win shape our every advantage on the water. We carry those lessons into every motor yacht that we design and build, using efficient and balanced hulls to deliver performance that feels effortless. Paired with meticulous craftsmanship and engineering, it creates a quiet confidence you can sense the moment you take the helm. Palm Beach Motor Yachts, from ocean racing innovation to cruising perfection.
Wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm really not. You were never one for new ones. Couldn't recognize a good thing till it was gone. Did you always see me as replaceable? Or think your damage to me was collateral? Well, if I'm being honest and rational, watching you walk out felt natural. Thought we were written in the stars, I had last dreams and tarot cards. I try to find a remedy for broken hearts, but I know now losing you is my fresh start. To think I've got a degree in making myself smaller for you, and I have mastered the art of waiting on your every move. Thank God you're gone, get out so long. To think I ever believed I had to make myself smaller for you. You always thought you were the center of the universe, but baby, why do you never learn? You're not the last and you're not the first. Don't open your mouth, you make things worse.